Switch on, set piece FC. You know what we do. The fleeing squad or not. It's normal. This is what we do. Yes!
Yeah! It's Gabriel! Oh my gosh! We needed a good one! And we've got a good one!
Get in there! What kind of North London? It's great!
You little prick.
What does it owe you?
You little shit. Fuck him. Say fuck him.
What is it?
Kim, man.
What does it owe you? Football career.
Football
career.
Kim, mate. You could have stayed and fought for his place.
Mate. And when the manager not rate him.
Fuck the manager, mate.
There you go.
Fuck the manager.
That's where the blame is.
Hold that, you goals! Come on! Shut your mouth, X-Blood, with your brat down teeth, blood! You got a bigger gap in your teeth than you got in your throat drought, blood! Hold that, blood!
Set piece as well.
Sake, how many chances?
Same script.
It's just,
It's the same script every single game.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, shit, corner.
Everybody knew it, isn't it? Yeah. Hey.
Oh, nobody's seen that.
And Callum Hudson-Odoi puts Nottingham Forest 1-0 up.
To the opposition penalty area, Nottingham Forest take the lead at Anfield. Good goal from Hudson-Odoi. It's just not great from us. Not great at all.
And Hudson-Odoi scores. Oh my god, I was just talking about the problem with our final pass, and Hudson-Odoi just makes it 1-0 to Nottingham Forest.
There. How has he scored there? It's 1-0. You're joking.
I'm sorry, Ali.
Banget golnya.
Aduh! What a goal! Oh my god.
Nothing compares to. You do look like Sinead O'Connor, bruv. Legit. If Sinead O'Connor and Uncle Fester had a kid, it'd be you. Welcome back to the Top 6 show, everybody. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing, mate. It's going to be a great show, mate. We've got a brilliant panel, mate. Giuseppe is here. Hello, mate. Staffy, mate, is here. Hello, Dave. You're right, mate. We've got Nobbins, who's fresh from court today, mate. Of course, we've got him sitting down there with his broken slot machine and his dirty toenails. It's our mate, what's his name? Tom Little, and Tottenham fan extraordinaire. You've gone viral as well on my Instagram today. 600,000 views, and we'll be getting into that a little bit later. But Henry O'Connor is here with us now on the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's going to be an epic show. 3,000 people already watching the show 3 minutes in. Epic. Make sure like buttons have been smashed and make sure you are subscribing. How are we all? Are we good?
Very good.
I'm very good.
But I've been better.
I got 3 points.
So did I. 3 point collect. Everyone who got 3 points on the top row. The only reason Nobbins is down at the bottom is because his team are in court today, so we thought we'd put him with the losers just because he's in court. So
wow, I was under the impression it was innocent to proven guilty in this country, but fuck me, right?
not according to two-tier Kia. Do you know what I mean? I'm joking. I don't know anything about all of that. I keep seeing two-tier Kia, and I'm like, I really should start following politics again, but I can't be bothered. It's so depressing. It's so depressing. And by the way, you know your main legal guy, is it Pinnock? Is that how you say his name? You know, Pinnock, right?
Panic,
right? Doesn't he look like Norris from Coronation Street?
I don't watch Coronation Street, sorry.
Oh, if you go Google Norris from Coronation Street, it's legitimately him. And I was like, they got Norris from Corrie. But maybe there we go.
An actor. There you go. An actor pretending to be a lawyer.
Maybe. Yeah, but it's been so funny watching it all today. Little Terry and his ifs and maybes.
Yeah, hold that, little Terry. Hold that.
I know.
whatever that means. Hold it.
I love that people don't like ifs and maybes. Imagine taking ifs and maybes out of football. Imagine if we did this. Maybe if Tom Little did that. What if Emery didn't say this? You know, what I won't do David's, but there we go. Listen, people, we're going to start. We've got to start. We're going to go. We'll speak Arsenal. We're going to speak Chelsea. We're going to speak all the teams. But I want to start with the history of the Tottenham, because you were very angry yesterday, Henry, with your team's performance. How are you now 24 hours later? Do you still want the manager sacked, or do you reflect on that and think, actually, I was being a little bit reactionary?
No, he should be sacked. Numbers don't lie. When you've beaten one top 10 team in 9 months, when you've beaten two top 10 teams in 12 months, when you haven't beaten a big six side, which, let's be honest, we robbed Liverpool because they VAR did them dirty. The last big six side we beat was on the 3rd game of last season. We've kept 4 clean sheets in 35. This isn't me being...
And you robbed Man United in that game. We should have had a penalty, and we didn't get it. But anyway, going back to you.
This isn't if buts or maybes. This is a fact. We've kept 4 clean sheets in 36 games. Or 35 games. It is absolutely diabolical. But it's just who we are, mate. Zero tactical idea in any game. And as I said yesterday, teams have suffered us out. We will lose to Coventry, and he won't make that. If he makes the Brentford game, Daniel Levy has got to come out with a statement, because the football we're playing, do you know how bad it is when your biggest rival is missing two of their best players? Their best players on the pitch, other than like their attacking players, don't particularly do too much, and they still come away with 3 points. When we play Man City, Erling Haaland will get a hat-trick in 10 minutes. Because we do not defend. Our formation is 2-8. It's 2-8. And when Van der Ven goes, curtains. Absolute curtain Albion. We are finito. Because trust me, I will be astonished if we get past Coventry.
You're being called out here by Kate. He says, Henry, you predicted a 3-1 win to Spurs, but now we've been figured out. Reactionary much?
No, it's the hope that kills you. Simple as that. I keep telling myself all the time, he's going to turn it around. He's going to turn it around. But the thing is, the pre-season is all about tactics. It's all about implementing something else, because you're not going into the biggest games. You're not starting the season yet. We conceded 3 goals against the Korean 11, which bailed us out. 2 goals against Vissel Kobe, right? People are talking about a win against Hearts. Who cares? They're like 5th or 6th in the SPL. We then come into the Premier League season. 37-year-old Jamie Vardy, Rolls Royce Romero, right? I'd drop him. I'd drop him for the Brentford game. 2 goals he cost us against Newcastle. Gabriel, right? As I said yesterday, Argentina-Brazil is a huge rivalry. We all know that, right? He gives it all large and in charge. You know, when Vicario's giving it, he runs over there giving it, I'm the Iron Man, I'm He-Man. And then when it comes to marking, you're absolutely fucking useless. Let's just be real now. We've got James Maddison, who I'm pretty sure can say when he signed for Tottenham, most people thought that'd be a good signing. Our system, he's got to drop so deep, he's nearly in the next postcode trying to create a chance, because our fullbacks are in the 10 position. And then Ange, when it comes to a tactical change, he takes off James Maddison for Timo fucking Werner. He's got £180,000 a week.
Who is?
Timo Werner. He's our 2nd highest paid player.
Hang on. No. Hold up. You're paying Timo Werner 180,000. Why?
Just answer just one question. Why do you sub a winger off who can't score or create for our most creative player on the pitch? Explain, like the math.
Just do it, mate.
To be fair, Timo Werner is a Champions League winner. Let's not forget that.
Romero's got a World Cup. David, who gives a shit? Who cares, mate? The guys won 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup, right? I don't care. Like the team defensively, I'm pretty sure every team on this panel would take one of our defenders. Maybe not in their 11, but in their squad, definitely. Everyone would take Van der Ven in their squad. I don't care. Everyone would. Everyone would probably take your doggy in their squad. Most teams would take Porro. In a unit together, we are hopeless. Absolutely hopeless. Who thinks it's a good idea to play 1 6 and 2 10s? That's a great idea, that. When you know everyone knew Arsenal's game plan. Just sit back and counter. What are we going to do against Brentford when they've got Wieser and Buemo? The same Brentford team that had 4 chances in the first 20 minutes against the best team in the league. And if it weren't for an Edison 75-yard wonder pass, they might not have won that game.
Yep.
When they play against us, we're like Robin Hood, except when we get beaten by the crap, and we also get beaten by everyone else. We're not giving out no points. It's a joke. Absolute disgrace.
You're giving out all the points then. Everyone eats the rich and the poories. Just everyone eats.
Eight of our last 26 games.
Yeah, but Henry,
this isn't agenda here. This is all factual.
And you said he wins in the second season. Ange's going to win in the second season. He always wins in the second season.
Yeah. You've got more chance winning the Europa League than we do. And you're not even in it. Do you honestly think, mate, turn it in. Oh, he's coming out there in the press conference. I always win. Yeah, great. Yeah, fantastic. We beat Everton.
But the thing is, if you look at like Conte and Jose's winning records, all stopped when they went to Tottenham. And he's just going to be... The thing is as well, though, I will say this. I know that some people understand this reaction. I wanted to throw this out there. Do we think that maybe Big Ange is being found out because he isn't currently managing Celtic and doesn't have the best squad in the league and more money than anybody else in the league? Is it a case of, bruv, you're not playing Partick Thistle?
I think it's that. And I also think it's that for Spurs fans, from their point of view, I think it's because, once again, I'll say it as I say it all the time, you overrate everything about your club. You overrate the players you have. Like, you're talking about that defensive record, yet before every North London derby, you guys try and put 3 players in a combined 11 with our defenders. You try and put 3 defenders in there. Try and put Romero and Van der Ven in there. They don't get in there. You overrate your players. They're not bad players. I just don't think they're as good as Spurs fans think they are. Maybe you might see little glimpses, but as a squad, your team ain't there. Because why? Because the tactics you play, for one, fair enough. I think it's a bit reactionary after the Arsenal game because I'm here saying it. We're well superior to you now, mate. Like, Henry, as much as you don't want to admit it, we are far superior to you. And the fact that is every way we're far superior. So in that game yesterday, our defense is so far superior to you, to your team, that you can't break us down. It's different against the Man City. That game will be different if we got to defend again. If we defended the way we even did against you yesterday, I believe we'd lose to City at the Etihad, 100%. We got to defend better, and the midfield have to be better. But Maddison, all these things, you say, why did Timo Werner come on? Well, he couldn't have been worse than Maddison yesterday, and that is the issue.
No, he definitely can.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I thought Maddison was rubbish. I said it yesterday. Odegaard was better than Maddison yesterday, and Odegaard weren't even in the squad. So, like, for me, I think that you guys just overrate your team a bit too much, and you're now lashing a bit at Ange. I hear it because of the stubbornness and stuff. I hear it. But even
just answer one question, right? When you was in the pits with Arteta, could you see the plan? Could you see the idea?
Yes.
Okay, can you see explain to me what Ange ball is?
Ange ball is him holding the possession for most of the game, and trying to drown teams out. In my opinion,
and how's that working?
Basically, going all attack and basically saying we'll try and outscore teams and try and
outscore
teams out.
We can't score. We haven't scored in 180 minutes.
So I will argue for not. I don't even want to argue for Ange, to be honest, but I'll argue that it also goes down to the players on the pitch. Yes, you can also go back to the signings he's made. That is on him. But yesterday, when I'm watching it, Ange is not the guy telling these guys not to cross the ball to Solanke more. It's not him saying, don't do that. I wouldn't believe it. And plus, even if he is saying that, when you're a footballer and you're a top footballer, I feel like you listen partly and then you sort of take stuff. When stuff ain't going right, you take it into your own hands. It's one thing that started winding me up a little bit about Arsenal players last season when I felt like they were being a bit too robotic. And I'm like, sometimes, I know maybe it's the game, like what Arteta says, but Saka, go round your man. I know he's probably telling you not to do that as much, but you've still got to have that creativity yourself. Your players ain't got that. Your players are just passing, not wanting to shoot. You started getting a bit of, let's say, luck, not luck, a bit of output from crossing the ball in, momentum, and then you stopped, and then you just didn't do it. And I know our defense was choking you out and Solanke and stuff, and not really giving you a chance. But this is the players as much. Son, I'm sorry, brother. This guy is meant to be well class.
He's playing him as a touchline winger.
If
He's not a touchline. He's 32 years age.
I hear you. I hear you. But once again, if he's world class, the way Spurs fans say, I'm not even saying it to me, but I don't think he is. But Spurs fans seem to think he is. So if he is world class like that,
he's a world class finisher.
Yeah,
but we don't give him any chances to explain. Like, he's an inside forward. His best attribute, we all know, is running through on goal. So we
what
put
would
him
you do, Henry?
out on a corner flag.
So what would you do?
You know what? What would I do? I change formation and go to a 3 at the back immediately.
So would you play 2 strikers?
I'm not a tactician. I don't know the ins and outs of coaching and drills. But anyone can see this high line is not working. Our high line is so high up, it's not even in our own half. So all teams have got to do is just put a ball over the top. Jacob Murphy, he's got 5 goal contributions in 2 games against us because he can see it. You watch. When we play City and Liverpool, it is curtains.
Edison's getting 3 assists against you.
This same high line is what you guys are all going, oh yeah, oh Tottenham are back, oh Big Ange ball and that. It's always been the same. So what's changed? Because last season you were doing it. You've been found out. Is that
the first 12 games of last season?
Ange has been found out, and he ain't been able to change. And that goes back to what Terry said. Of this isn't Celtic. You ain't playing bums every week.
Yes. So how do you react? So if people are figuring out Ange ball as a coach, right? Arne Slot, Eric Ten Hag, Mikel Arteta does not have the same game plan for every single match. You adapt to teams' formations, to their tactics. We just rock up and try and do the same single thing. If you watch Unai Emery, when he played against Arsenal, it's a completely different way to he played against Everton. There is no reaction to people countering Ange ball. And that's where the head loss is for me. Because we can all see, watching, what's going to happen. The set pieces, Vicario. Mate, Guardiola has cursed his football club because he kept fitting it in continuously with pace on top of Vicario. Since then, we've conceded from 21 set pieces. The most in the Premier League right now. But what do? We go to Ryan Mason. You can be our set piece coach.
Do you know what's really interesting? Do you know what's interesting? Sorry, I'll go to you in a sec, Dave. I just wanted to say on this. I saw Kate. Kate might have gone by now because she thinks it's overreactionary. What I'll say is this. Where I agree with Kate is sacking Ange doesn't fix Tottenham because there are problems in the boardroom. There are problems with the recruitment. And I understand that. But as a Man United fan, I must have had this conversation 30, 40, 50 times in the last 11 years. Just because there are problems at board level and just because there are problems in terms of recruitment and the structure of a club and the ambition of a club, it doesn't mean a manager's system and tactics cannot also be criticized as an example. And Ange's lack of adaptability, and he said at the end of last season, he says, yeah, has absolutely no desire to change anything with these set pieces. He doesn't care about the criticism of these set pieces, yet 21 goals have been conceded. To not address it is malpractice. So I'm in the camp of, I understand Spurs fans wanting him out, but equally what I would say is where I understand the people that are thinking it's too reactionary, anyone who thinks just changing managers for Tottenham is going to fix you is foolish, because the proof's in the pudding over the last 4, 5, 6 years. You've changed managers many times. You've had some world-class managers in that time, and nothing gets any better. So there are bigger problems than Ange at your football club, but I think ignoring his deficiencies is a major problem for you and your board. But David, I'll go to you. Sorry, mate.
I was just saying, what a difference 12 months makes. 12 months ago, these men had won every game in a row, and everyone was saying Ange is a revolutionary guy. He's the next Sir Alex. He's cooked. Give them the trophy now. And now it's like they can't string 4 passes together. I don't know what's happened, but I think people have got to learn. Don't go over the top after 5, 10 games because it's just too early. I always think that if you have a system that can be learned in 3 weeks, the system ain't good enough. Because, again, Crystal Palace is another example of this. Last season, Glasner came in, cooking, beating this team, that team, everyone. Got to this season, teams have had a bit more time to scout them, and it's not hitting the same. Spurs last year, the best Ange ball I've seen from Spurs was in the first 10 games last year. And then ever since then, they can't score. They can't defend.
Bearing in mind, our squad has got better as well.
Yeah, exactly. They've had 9 men against us and became more attacking. If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. That is crazy. I look at Spurs. I was watching yesterday. And I went, any team with a bit of fight yesterday would have made Arsenal a little bit scared. I don't think Arsenal fans were worried. I genuinely don't think there was any point in that game where Arsenal went, we're going to concede it. And Arsenal, quite frankly, were bad yesterday. I'm going to be honest. Arsenal if Arsenal played a team with a bit of fight and a bit of composure about them, they would have at least conceded and had to score another. But no, they literally went, oh, do you know what we're going to do? As long as we get a corner at the right point and we lob it in, we'll just score a goal. Because their goalkeeper can't stop a corner and their defenders don't really care either. Why is Vicario fighting his own defender?
He went negative distance on a corner. He started on the edge of a 6-yard box and ended up on his goal line.
He's doing up like club rips like I do in my sport. What's he doing? Focus on the ball. You've got hands for a reason. And then Romero, I said it on Thursday. I don't know what's happened to this guy because there was a point last year when I went, you know what? He's got better. He's focused. He's not losing his head anymore. Maybe he's turned the corner. No, I lied. No, one thing.
After what he did today,
Leopard never changes his spots. A Leopard never changes his spots. That's one thing. That guy, bro, Gabriel was just free. He didn't even. There was no step. There was no hesitation. He just walked to the middle. I was like, I'm free. I'll jump in.
I've got a free header. Let me just get the match winner.
Like, what was he doing?
Romero's a disgrace.
Honestly, Spurs, they're and that Maddison bloke, he needs to be dropped. He's dreadful.
He's not a bad player. Our manager just doesn't know how to add up to play a 10.
Henry, just on Maddison, it goes back to what is my biggest issue with Ange as a manager, and Tom and I were discussing this earlier. It's the weird profiling of players, and I'm sure Henry will agree with this. I'm sure. For example, why is James Maddison your 10 playing so deep? Why is Pedro Porro, probably your best crosser of the ball, playing centrally? Not once have I looked at Udogie and gone, that's an inverting fullback right there. Not once have I ever looked at Udogie and gone, yeah, that's his shtick. That's the peak of his powers. Not once have I looked at Son and gone, at the age you are at in 2024, yeah, you're a touchline winger. It makes no sense. With this double inverting of the fullbacks into midfield, that's fine if your fullbacks are Rico Lewis, but they aren't. It's Pedro Porro, who's a wing back. He's not a midfielder disguised as a right back. It surely makes more sense to push your fullbacks high, and that then allows your wide players, i.e. Son, Kulusevski, whoever, to be allowed to play a bit more centrally. That's where Son's going to be most dangerous, for example. And then you've got actual natural wide players who can find Solanke, who is your aerial threat up top or whatever. I think the pieces are there for Spurs to be quite good. I just don't get I don't really understand. I have not been able to figure out the order in which he's placing his players in. It just doesn't, again, maybe Henry can shed some light on it. I just don't understand. I look at Pedro Porro, I don't think you're Rico Lewis. I look at Pedro Porro and think you are a crossing threat. Get to the byline and whip the ball in. I don't think, be a midfielder for a bit. I just don't quite understand
He's got his squad like inverted in the wrong way. When you're tucking both fullbacks in, you need really good 1v1 wingers, and you've got Brennan Johnson. So you just lose the ball whenever it goes out wide. You need really good 1v1 wingers, and it goes out to Son, who's not good in a 1v1 at this point in his career. So you end up basically having no width, and you force everything into the centre, which was exactly what Arsenal wanted yesterday.
Yeah,
because all they done was pack the centre, and then you were done for. I don't get, unless you have top wingers, you should not be inverting your fullbacks. You have really good attacking wing backs, and you ironically have really good wide players who operate better centrally in Kulusevski and Son. And yet, for whatever reason, Ange is doing it the other way around. And then he's coming out in press conferences acting like Tottenham fans are idiots, like nothing's wrong. That's where I think that he's starting to lose the fans. Football fans aren't stupid. You can't keep telling them, I know we've lost, but nothing's wrong. I know we've lost, but it's okay, we'll just try harder. Because they see the problem. Why is half the players aren't in the right position? Why did Bentancur play yesterday? The way you're going to get at that Arsenal midfield is with pace and power. And you go and play Bentancur, whose main ability is his on-the-ball quality, which you're never going to pass through Arsenal when they're setting up that deep.
So who would have gone there instead then?
I would have played that Pat Massé. I thought when he came on, he was bright because he was driving at them. He was putting Jorginho and Partey under pressure to do something. He was exposing their lack of mobility and the fact that they can't cover the ground as well. So if you get the beating off them, you're going to create space in that way. His issue was he was taking too many shots, too many rash shots from outside the box, but it was the right idea. It just felt like after 20-odd minutes yesterday, Tottenham lost all sort of confidence and just started crushing and panicking and settling for stuff that isn't going to create anything. You end up playing into Arsenal's hands. They weren't stressing out in the second half. They knew the moment they get a corner that they're going to be loving it. And exactly what's happened since January happened again. A centre-back bottled it on the corner and Vicario bottled it and didn't come out for it. And he actually, it's funny with Vicario because he started the game really well claiming the crosses. Then he flapped at one and then he went back into his shell and panicked. And then cost you. I don't even get what he's doing on the goal. He decides to go into his own separate battle with Maddison and whoever instead of going out to claim the ball.
Goalkeepers that do that. David De Gea used to do that at Man United, so I'll keep the same energy. There is an unwritten rule in football that almost allows goalkeepers to smash and hurt anybody ahead of them as long as they get the ball. Yeah. So when goalkeepers can run, they can jump with their knees up, elbows out, clatter everybody. As long as they catch or hit the ball, they get away with it. So I get so annoyed at goalkeepers when they just stand there and go, but I was being pushed. You've also got an extra, I don't know how long people's arms are. If a goalie's 6'2", what's his arm? 3 foot long? Yeah. You've got an extra 3 foot advantage over everybody.
6'5", 6'6" to claim a ball.
Exactly.
And your hands are more accurate than your head.
Like no, exactly. So if you're 6'6", you're 6'6", your arms are going to be 3 foot long, right? So you've generally speaking got a 2 or 3 inch advantage in height over most players, plus a 3 foot arm length advantage, and you can clatter people. There is no excuse for a goalkeeper not to come out and get balls like that yesterday. Some crosses are impossible. They're too flat. They're not too flat. They don't go too high in the air. They're hit with some real speed. They can't get out in time. They've got to stay on their line. But no, Vicario massively to blame there. Deji's here with us. We've had Henry say that he would, one more game and he would sack Ange. He thinks he's been found out. How do you see life at Tottenham going if Big Ange stays? Do you think it's too early to call for him to be sacked?
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I did say before the game that if Tottenham was to lose to Arsenal for whatever reason, that I would have serious questions of Ange. And I'm not going to lie, I sit here and I do have some questions. The first thing I would say, though, is let's not get too carried away. I see a lot of people shaking their bum. Let's put things into perspective. I've said this before. If it's good enough for you, then it's good enough for me. And in season 2, where did Arsenal finish in the league? They finished 8th. Yeah, so let's just calm down with all the bums shaking.
Incorrect.
So you finished 8th in season 2, mate. You did.
Yeah,
so
half a season. If you want to count an 8th.
Let me do my thing, and then you have your thing in a sec. Now, on the weekend, we did domination in the location. Whether you like it or not, Arsenal had 11 men behind the ball, and they gave Tottenham respect. They said, you know what? When it comes to playing ball with this team, we're not going to be able to out-pop them in terms of possession. So we're going to sit back and let them do their thing. What I would like us to do is let's not be disingenuous. Apart from Martinelli's chance on goal, Arsenal did not have any clear-cut chances. That means the team in the main did their job. We, however, had all the ball. We didn't do our job. And I agree. I'm so glad to hear that you guys are talking about the 3 issues that Spurs had yesterday. Vicario is an issue for me. Vicarious liability. This brother, from when he doesn't want to come out, he is open for, he's just letting everybody know he's open for business. Romero has cost Tottenham 4 points. Leicester, Newcastle, and now Arsenal, this brother. He has cost us because every time Tottenham have not done their thing today, it's got Romero involved. And then the one thing why I'm doubting Postecoglou is there's a lot of smoke going on to Brennan Johnson. Some of it warranted, some of it unwarranted. It's a manager's job to protect their players. We all know that Brennan Johnson is better when he comes on. So don't start him. Just like when I saw that Trossard was starting, I knew he weren't going to do nothing because he's rubbish when he starts. That's just the truth. So bring them on when you know they can be effective. When the defense is tired, then he can take them on. So for me, and then the icing on the cake is he brought on Timo Werner. Timo Werner, if I see this brother in the high street, I will fly kick him in the back of his beanhead. He's so rubbish. Don't want to see this brother again. So for me, I need to see Postecoglou make some difficult decisions. First and foremost, Tottenham fans ain't going to like this. I think Romero needs to sit down. I want to see Dragusin start alongside Van de Ven because this whole lapses in concentration, he's not doing this for Argentina, but he's doing it for my club. I hate that. Apart from that, I agree with Postecoglou. We are playing well, but we're not finishing off our dinner. And I'm going to give Postecoglou a bit more grace than Henry. I'm saying the next 3 games. If we don't slap up Brentford, and if we don't slap up one of the dustiest teams I've ever seen in my life, in Man United, yeah, to be honest. If we don't slap up Man United, he needs to lose his job because that team is dustier than Tutankhamun's coffin. Apart from that, so I'm giving 3 games, and then that's it.
On the Egyptian theme, I'm going to go to our Egyptian brother here, Staffy. Do you agree with Deji? Do you think that Spurs are playing some really good football? They're just not finishing their chances? Is it as simple as that?
No, they didn't play good football yesterday. Maybe in the majority, yes. Yesterday, I cannot say that. I think them having possession was by design. It wasn't because you were too good for them. Arteta gave you the ball. He deliberately did that. What? You know, he's like there's boxers that go into fights and they're like, you know what, today I'm just gonna be on the defense. You know, no one's gonna catch me today, and I'll just catch him with a late hook later in the fight. And that's what he did to you. He outsmarted your manager. It's just that simple. You know.
Apart from that header, bro, if Arsenal don't score that header, you know the game's a draw. So how is that going? How is that working to plan?
Because you scored the header.
So I know there was limited chances, but as I said, that was still by design. He did not intend to open up the pitch for you. He intended to sit deeper. He intended to have that midfield sitting close to the back line. So as I said, this was by design. There was enough times that they ran in behind where if the decision-making was better, they could have scored. Martinelli being poor is not really on Arteta because the tactics are working. Individual performances is not really on managers. Just like how I use that as a mechanism to defend Ange, I'm going to use it as a mechanism to defend, what's his name, Arteta yesterday. Martinelli probably squares that ball to Saka. That's 1-0 in the first half. There was one ball that got cleared off the line, I think, by Vicario Romero. That's another big chance. You had 0 big chances. They did. So factually, even though they didn't have the ball, they still created more than you. Even though it was very limited.
There was also a couple of counters in the second half where, if it hadn't been for brilliant covering from Van de Ven, they were in on goal as well. So there was, again, it's that debate around chances versus opportunities, and I felt like Arsenal actually didn't execute a number of opportunities. But again, if it was 0-0. Maybe one extra player commits forward. The game it's so hard to judge a game based on.
The game is different if it's 1-0 in the first half. Of course, things change. Van de Ven, listen, I know people here rate Van de Ven highly. I just want to say Van de Ven is a very unique type of defender. The amount of running backwards that he does, I don't think I've ever seen a center back that does that. He runs backwards way too much, and it's because the manager does have him playing in a very, very high line. Some of these chances that, I don't know, like a cross in or a pass or whatever that he intercepts, let's just be honest, probably an average defender doesn't get these. And there's very good defenders out there that I think are world class, and I don't think they could do what Van de Ven does. Just because his pace is a bit abnormal for a player his size and in his position. So
is Van der Ven's recovery pace, because forget the AA, forget the RAC, forget AIA, he will cover every section of you. But is that sustainable? Because when he,
no, it's not. It's not. I'm just making a point to why Arsenal actually didn't get. Spurs didn't concede more chances.
Yeah.
Why? Because of Van der Ven. Yeah. So that is individually on Van der Ven. It's not really on the system.
Deji, I think it's the hamstrings. I mean, one went last year, and we've all seen this over here. I know medical science is better now. The amount of running he does, that hamstring is probably going to go again. Once a player's hamstring has snapped 2-3 times, they do lose a yard or two of that explosive power and pace. And I think that if that goes, he's in trouble. It's as simple and straightforward as that. Not he's in trouble, but your system's in trouble, because that recovery. Listen, I rate Van der Ven. I think he's amazing. But I know he's young. I just wouldn't want. I just personally wouldn't want a system that works defensively if Van der Ven's pace gets you out of trouble, because when he isn't, you need a system that works beyond one player. I think it needs to be better to progress in the Premier League. You know, for City, they've lost. I know it's an attacking player, but they've lost KDB for season, almost a whole season, and still won the league as an example. That's because the system's solid, and I don't think it's just on the Van der Ven thing. If you lost Van der Ven for look what happened when you lost him for 3 or 4 months. Look how many games you didn't win.
Yeah, I agree, but let's not forget that these players are athletes. You know, they are prime, they're specimens. This is what they do. They're professional footballers, for crying out loud. And what we're talking about is someone who has to make some recovery runs. In any game, people have to make recovery runs.
But this is abnormal behavior.
In matches. And for me, I don't, look, you can someone could do a bad tackle and you break your leg. What about that? You know, so for me, it's like these risks is all part of the game. So
yeah,
for me,
it's not. I'll give you an example on that, though. Deji, on that, if you had a midfielder who was playing suicide balls consistently to your players and they were having to do 50-50s to win it, you would be saying, take that player off the pitch. He's going to end up injuring one of our individuals, right? So if the manager's system is risking injury, isn't that the same difference?
I don't know whether the system is risking injury, because for me, in my opinion, last season I would totally agree. I think for many times Van der Ven was caught out. The way that we've played and the way that we've minimized the opposition's chances. When did Van der Ven in the game yesterday have to blow at top speed? He didn't need to.
Second half when Arsenal.
How many times?
He did it like 2 or 3 times.
He made 4
times. No, but Deji, in a half, Deji, in a half.
Premier League,
Deji, let me explain. In a half, right? In a half, for one centre-back to do that for the whole 38 games, plus Europa League, plus Carabao, plus FA.
It's not normal. That's what I'm saying. It's
you guys are over-exaggerating how many times it happens in the game. Van der Ven doing a quick 2-3 second burst of pace isn't going to cause him injury.
Me myself, I've got bad hamstrings. I myself have bad hamstrings. If you had me sprinting like that every single game, bro, my leg's going. I know it's going.
But also, you've got bad hamstrings because you bust heavy weights as well, no?
What?
Because you look like Johnny Bravo. Do you know what I mean? So if you're not doing your leg pressures, do you know what I mean? You will lose your hamstring, bro. You have to work your legs. Let's be real, because you man are talking about centre backs. What about right back? What about left back? You're acting like footballers don't run.
That pace that he does.
Bro, you're acting like this is not the NFL, bro.
Was your high line? Because your high line is in your own half.
But the high line wasn't
just to break this down.
The high line wasn't exposed.
Guys, you want to put some facts here. He's had 3 separate hamstring injuries in his career now. 3 separate hamstring injuries.
And our high line doesn't help that.
How many of them were at Spurs?
Two of them are at Spurs. Hang on, I'll tell you. 2 of them are at Spurs, and one of them was collectively, he has missed through hamstring injuries alone. He has missed, I'm quickly adding this up here, he's missed around 160 days of football through hamstring injuries. That's quite a lot for a 23-year-old.
Yeah, it is. But if we changed system to a degree, you probably would prevent that risk. If you drop the defensive
You
line,
play high intensity for 90 minutes.
I don't get it though, because if you change how high the line is, then you need to change the whole system completely.
That's what I'm saying. That's the way you prevent it.
We press at high intensity. We're going to press a back team's line, and we're going to push our full team forward in order to allow that press and to get them in their half. That means what you're going to be asking Ange to do is not press as high, not be as intense in the press, which Man City have done for so long, and you know, other teams in the Premier League have done for so long and played high line. It's never been seen as a problem. I think the reason why Tottenham's high line gets seen as a problem is because we've been caught out with it a few times. It's been learning throughout the past year.
Problem.
This season, of course.
George, the biggest issue is that
if you're constantly getting caught out by it, it's going to be a problem.
We've been caught out about 2 times this season with just the high line, but it's not been due to, oh yeah, Ange's been doing it too high at times. Oh, if you look at the Newcastle goal, we all stepped forward for the offside trap. There was a few players that didn't, and then they caught us out. Just like the way that Unai Emery's done it with his Aston Villa team, and he gets a lot of teams playing offside. It's literally a high risk, high reward. That's the way that you've got to play the game. But we're not going to sit here and say, oh, Tottenham this weekend, the reason we lost was because of our defence. The reason we lost, and the biggest issue, was because of the front line. The defensive problems are really not there. Our team at the back concede one of the least amount of shots on target on goal out of the top 6 or out of the whole of the Premier League right now. We've been with regards to the actual opportunities that we give up. Let's say just for the Arsenal game, for example, Martinelli was the only one that had a clear-cut opportunity, and that was from a little bit of a mistake at the back. Porro again. I think all of us Tottenham fans know Pedro Porro's defending is not great. That's always going to be a hole in our back line. His positioning is all over the place. And look, you found Martinelli through, and that was the one time they went through. But apart from that, I don't feel like they broke for our lines. I don't feel like defensively we had issues. The issue literally was in the front line. And then also, off the back of that, I think one of our biggest problems is we haven't got a 6. We've highlighted how important 6s are in this modern day game, and how important it is to have a shield in front of your defense. When we have players like Bentancur, Bissouma who can play the role, but neither of them specialize there, I don't think it helps.
George, you not think Bentancur can play the role, but don't leave him on his own with 2 attacking midfielders that are a lot more advanced.
100%. But I feel like there was obviously a tactical reason as to why we went 2 attacking midfielders, because I think we wanted to take advantage of, you know, no Odegaard, no Rice, in which we did. We controlled the game. We had more of the ball. We flew through their midfield. It was pretty much non-existent at times. But again, the problem lied in the front line. The ball, we literally done so well getting the ball into the final third, getting the ball to Son, getting the ball to Johnson. But whenever the ball got to Son and Johnson, what do you expect? There was nothing happening. It kept going backwards. The ball kept getting recycled. And from a player like Son, who we've seen year in, year out, left peg, right peg, he can put it wherever he wants, edge of the box, 30 yards out. He has the ability. There's no excuse as to why it's not happening. It's clearly confidence.
So who's accountable then? Who's accountable? There is one more manager system.
I actually think
it's coming together. I generally think that it's obviously I think Ange has to take some accountability. I think the way that we attacked against Arsenal was far too repetitive. Just get the ball out to the wings, cross it in.
But that was the same in the Newcastle game and the Leicester game.
That's the problem. I feel like when we attack, we need to change it up more. There needs to be more variation. But I feel like variation comes with quality attackers. If you have a top quality winger, you don't need to ask them to vary their forward play. They do it naturally. They're going to take on their man once and beat him, go straight to line, and then they're going to cut in the other side. But because we have players who are young and players that just haven't got that individual quality, they need to be taught it into them. They need to have the system that works for them in order to create those opportunities. And when it's not creating opportunities, as you can see, we lack the individual quality literally in our whole front 5. Well, go on,
I also think the one issue with our defense, and I'm speaking to Henry and Jules here, but feel free the rest of the panel to jump in. I think if Saliba is in our defense instead of Romero, we don't suffer a defeat this season. I literally think it's that simple.
Yeah, but then you're asking for a uniform, Deji.
You don't suffer a defeat.
No, but because for me, honestly, with the way that we've played, I think it's unforgivable for someone who's been a World Cup, who's meant to be a World Cup winner. The lapses in concentration has been the reason why
sorry,
we
Deji,
have
did
to
you
answer
say
these bloody questions on these shows.
Sorry,
It's
Deji, did you say
Romero.
you'd go invincible if you had Saliba in your back line, or did I just
I
mishear
said
you?
if we had Saliba instead of Romero, we wouldn't have lost the game this season.
Oh, sorry, apologies.
I thought you said
yeah.
you would.
I thought you said you were going to go
whole
invincible.
season.
See, do you know what I would say? That again, this is the thing. Where I would disagree is I think if Mikel Arteta, no matter the game, no matter the scenario, played your high line, Arsenal would have lost the game so far this season. In fact, if Arsenal's yesterday, if their defensive line was at the halfway line away at Tottenham, the game wouldn't have ended 1-0 to Arsenal. And this is the thing. It's about, I think when you have a squad that is superior to everybody else in your league, as Big Ange did when he was in Scotland, as what sometimes happens, PSG have that advantage, but Bayern Munich typically have that advantage if you look over a 10, 15-year period in Germany. The Premier League is different. City have been clear of everybody in the last 4 or 5 years. But when you drop below that, the differences are often quite close, and you have to learn to adapt your system to be able to get through the Premier League, especially when, as you've all said, you don't have an amazing squad yet. So you need your manager, yes, to implement his style, but there are times where you need to be pragmatic. There are times where you need to adjust. This idea of we will just play one way all the time, every game, I just don't think it works when you're in such a competitive league. I want to go to some of the super chats because we have got a lot of other talking points on the show tonight as well. The first one says, away the lads, that is from Mama Flossie. Big up yourself. Arsenal don't dare rotate Saliba. He can't play 60 plus games, is what IB says here. Deji, put some respect on Man United. On United, we being something shit still, won trophies in the last 2 years more than your lifespan. Also, when besides COVID season was the last time Spurs slapped United.
I didn't understand. It's not coherent.
For dyslexic, that's very hard to read. I'm not going to lie. Those super chats, they throw me when I've got to read them out loud, and there's words that are mumble jumbled up like that. But I get basically he's saying, take my goddamn team out of your mouth, is what he's saying. I think that's how I read it. Deji is shaking his dusty bum so violently. There is more dust in North London right now than when Spurs opened their trophy cabinet. Sorry to break the Spurs bubble, but Spurs midfield and attack are mid-table. They are 7 to 8 Premier League teams that have better midfields and attacks than Spurs. Imagine if Ten Hag ends Ange. I need that, please, is what Ronnie Dodge says.
If Ten Hag gets a manager sacked, oh my God.
African Giant says, I think Spurs' main issue are poor signings. Sentiment aside, Sonny is regressing, in my opinion. Don't get me started on Brennan Johnson. 50 million ends. Nottingham Forest has a better front line than Spurs. Yeah, listen, Alanga is better than Brennan Johnson. Yeah, he just is. He's better than him.
Dan James. I told them Dan James. They laughed at
Dan James is better. Dan James
I thought
is
I
better.
was joking, bro. Dan James would have picked out Solanke yesterday about 2-3 times in the box. That's a fact.
Question for you, Deji. Do Spurs still have a better squad than Arsenal?
Look, I don't know where people are going.
That answers went on too long.
You know what I'm saying? Because Arsenal, even with that team yesterday, they fell back. They showed my club a lot of respect. So I would still say the squad is better. The only thing is we're 1 year into our phase. Arsenal 5 years deep. You just can't compare. Arsenal was dog crap second season. Come on. Why is everyone...
So no then. So the answer is no.
The answer is yes.
You've got a better squad still.
No, it's only for... Look. I'm asking that question at game 38.
Deji, no offense, mate. You don't get a player in the combined 11, mate. After yesterday, I'm convinced you do. Spurs does not even get a player in the combined 11.
That whole team sat back and showed.
We wanted to do that because we knew that's the.
Bro, you don't. Arsenal don't play bro. Hold on,
Deji.
You only sit back when you know you can't play ball.
No,
have you kicked ball before, bro? Have you kicked ball?
Bro. But
is that what you normally do when you play football with your mates? Do you just sit back?
Can I say?
Or do you go at them?
Let me.
He didn't play Premier League level.
I don't think
when you
he's
play
a piece
11
of
aside,
Premier League football.
Yeah, I'm not one. I'm not a Premier footballer. Two, there's games
You
where
don't
you
need
have
to
to
be a
do
Prem.
that.
I'm asking
Listen,
you when you kick
at the end of the day, yeah, we had two of our main midfielders out. We had all our defensive options off the bench out injured. Yeah, and we come to your ground and we knew. He said these men can't do nothing to our defense.
So you were proud of that performance.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yes,
Sir Alex Ferguson used
we
to
got-
lead the ball to Arsene Wenger, and
Can
we
I
used
say
to win more
something?
trophies than them. What is this
Can I say
comparison
something?
that we're
You man are
making?
shameless, you know.
Yeah,
This just makes no sense. The greatest manager of all time used to pull up to Highbury. He used to leave the ball for Arsene Wenger's team, and we used to live with the 3 points in the Premier League at the end of the season. What are we even saying here?
Deji, were you happy a couple of years ago when Mourinho had like 25% possession but beat Man City? And he came out and
I wasn't, bro. We
so the result doesn't matter. It's the performance.
I'll defend Tottenham. Some Tottenham fans here. I know this because I was born to a Tottenham fan. There are some Spurs fans who, as long as the football is beautiful, that is everything. I will say that I grew up with Spurs fans. My dad's one. Literally, if the football looks pretty, a lot of them consider that to be as important, if not more important, than winning. Like genuinely,
That's for mentality.
It's wrong. It's wrong. But Deji is one of those Spurs fans. I grew up around hundreds of them. As long as the football being pretty is more, it's more important than trophy to Tottenham.
I appreciate talents like Zinedine Zidane and Ronaldinho. This guy here, he
got Madison and Johnson.
Sharp and Fletcher.
Listen, bro. Yeah, we were the better team on the pitch yesterday. You had all the ball.
We weren't the better team on the pitch.
Do you know what's funny though? You know what's funny though when you say that, Dej? You know what's really funny about that? You named legends that are not part of your club. The players I love are part of my club and my winning history. That just shows the difference between our clubs. You fell in love with you picked Spurs that fell in love with the game because of another club's players.
No, Terry, I agree, and I'm not going to lie to you. When I think about your club, Man United,
nah, I didn't. I'm different. I fell in love with the game because of the team I supported. Like I picked a team, and that team made me fall in love with football. That's that for me.
Terry,
I'm not blaming anyone. Everyone take your own journey in the sport. I always find it interesting that people fell in love watching, say, Ronaldinho play for Barcelona, but then they chose to pick Spurs to be the team they support. I get it if it's local or your dad or something, but not everybody has the dad who supported Spurs or born in the area.
Of YouTube and stuff, and that's the one thing. The one outlet you had was watching YouTube compilations, YouTube videos in 05, 06. It was Ronaldinho everywhere. That's what you're gonna fall in love with.
Yes, okay, but you're missing my point. Say you fall in love with Ronaldinho and the way Barcelona play football. Why would you pick Spurs to be the team that you support in the game? The correlation, it's like, I fell in love eating sort of a beautiful Italian food in Italy, and then you open up a shitty Wetherspoons making crap pizzas. It's not respecting what you fell in love with.
Because one player could get you into the sport, but then you don't have a team until you have a reason to pick a team.
Yeah, but why would you pick Spurs if Ronaldinho and that type of football is what you love?
Club, innit?
I don't know. I'm just saying, you can be a bit of football fan until you pick a team.
Can I just say the
my analogy was shit, by the way. It fell well flat. Proper shit. We move on. Terry,
the funniest thing about what Deji said, and he said it twice now, is that Arsenal had respect for Spurs. I don't think anyone in the league's got respect for Spurs. They're dreadful.
Bro,
no one. Bro, Leicester.
David, that's rather cheap coming from a Chelsea fan.
Who do you support? We finished 12th. We finished 12th.
That's rather cheap coming from a Chelsea fan.
We showed up 12th.
Respects that. I don't think anyone respects that.
George, we finished 12th and we still rolled up to your gaff and beat you.
You're running a over there.
Chelsea. Bro, I've never respected Spurs. Every year I show up, I batter you, man. Guys,
I love the banter, but I want to get through some of these super chats because we've got to move on to cooking Liverpool. We're not letting Tom get off. Romero looked like he's not interested to play for Spurs anymore. Got a juicy spot for him at Chelsea if he's interested, or does Real Madrid? Why would you want him at Chelsea?
He's not that good, guys.
No. So wait, Tottenham fans really think they had more possession because they were superior and not because it was Arteta's game plan. We're not going to read out any of the insults, people. Deji doesn't understand styles make fights. This is very, very true. George, I think he means George and Henry were like, you're on your own there, mate. Jules, right, Jules? Deji, if we had Pep, Haaland, Rodri, and Alisson, I believe Chelsea would win the league too. Basically, I'm saying you got cooked. Stop with those ifs and buts. Arsenal don't you? Sorry, already done that super chat there. What else we got here? This one says Brennan Johnson is an AI, artificial intelligence. This is football in 2024. Train LeBron James for 1 year and he can replace Johnson. Runs in a straight line and blind low cross, rinse and repeat. Also, apparently, Real Madrid scouts were at the North London derby. Well, yeah, we know Real Madrid are looking at Saliba. Arsenal got to get that contract out and give that kid 400 grand a week. Otherwise, he is going to end up at Real Madrid. It just feels he's that good. He's young. He can play ball. He's quick, athletic. He has everything. And why would Real Madrid not come? The only way you stop him is by paying him the money. Managers and players come and go from Spurs, yet still win trophies. Since Daniel Levy took over in 01, Tottenham have only won the League Cup. Levy out. It's poetic that Spurs fans went from twerking for Ange's dominating playing style to wanting him sacked as his tactics. But I get that, though, because and it's why I defend Spurs fans. They saw at the beginning, went, wow, this is great. What they expect is what we all expected. For there to be an adaptation as elements managers' systems get found out like young players when they come through. And I remember Gareth Bale, he started for the left back, then he started to look really good going forward. And then when he was still at Spurs, people were working out ways. I remember watching him play against United at Old Trafford, and Rafael da Silva absolutely pocketed him. And he went through a period where he didn't regress, but he was being stopped a lot. But then he worked on his game and he started to go on the inside more. And he started to do loads of different variations to his game, learned to play on the right-hand side and become a better and better player. Managers have to go through that same arc. Your systems, there's a reason that Pep, and hopefully Nobbins will back me on this, almost every year, 18 months, will make small adaptations to his formations, his styles, where players stand, because otherwise you get found out. So I don't blame Spurs fans for changing their mind because the information is changing in front of you. Don't listen to Dusty Spurs fans chatting rubbish. He doesn't know ball. Havertz alone had 2 free headers, but he says they had no clear-cut chances, is what Drago says.
Really?
Jason says, Deji equals Dusty, Spurs cursed, Kane, Son, Kante, Mourinho, plus 16 years, no trophies. Spurs trophy cabinet equals Dusty. Come on, you gooners. Great show. Remember Staffy also backed Flange. Oh, you did, didn't you, Staffy? You did. Staffy did back him a while back, but he did come on and say he got that wrong, to be fair. He said he got frauded, so big up Staffy. Liverpool. We're going to get to the other game, but Liverpool. Tom, what? Listen, Spurs lost yesterday, and they've got a right to be frustrated. But you got beat by Nottingham Forest at home.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do say so myself as a Man United fan, God, you looked poor, flat, a lack of ideas. It was like Anthony was wearing a Mo Salah suit in terms of it was awful. What went wrong on Sunday, and how do you improve on that this week in the Champions League? Tomorrow in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm. Everything that could have went wrong. We had 3 players who put in decent levels of performance, which was Gravenberch, McAllister, and Van Dijk. The rest were varying levels of crap. The entire right-hand side decided to put in their worst performances in over 12 months. Trent had no composure, was playing the game at 100 miles an hour. Salah couldn't beat the man, and then the one time he did beat him, passed it to the opposition. Szoboszlai does really good at picking up the ball deep, running 40 yards and then giving it away, so he has to run 40 yards back. He's really good at topping the same distance covered metric. Everything that the overall just sort of performance level was poor. We didn't create anything. I wouldn't even say we were that bad defensively, but you could see what was coming. The moment they brought on Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, you just knew exactly what the game plan was, and we didn't do anything to stop it. And whilst that shot from Hudson-Odoi wouldn't normally go in, it was a really good strike. That's not an excuse for the level of poor performance. If that doesn't go in, I'm just leaving the game going, okay, now we got lucky we got a draw there, didn't we? Because we were crap. and the substitutions, Slot's been pretty much faultless first 3 games. Don't ask me what them substitutions were. He should have went to a 4-4-2. Instead, he takes off Diaz and Jota, keeping the worst attacker on the day on the pitch. That doesn't work, surprisingly, because you're just doing the same thing, but with worse players on the pitch. So then you decide to take off a centre-back for a centre-mid and go to a back 3 with your wing-backs at centre-back. And that basically just meant you lost all sort of width and had to go through the middle where they had it fully packed out. It made no sense. Individual errors were made. Team didn't. It was like in the second half, we just lost confidence and it went horribly wrong. I think it was a much needed wake up call. I think a lot of people had gotten too far on the train, and that's going to happen in fandom. You got to level yourself back down. We got Milan tomorrow, good side, but they're a side that should play a style of football that is slightly more conducive to success for us, where they're not going to be set up in a tight mid block with 5 midfielders. Fair play to Forest, by the way. It's not a knock on them. Their numbers are really good this season, and they deserve the win in that game. They will decide to deserve the win. But we've got Milan tomorrow. Play most of the same team. I don't agree with the idea that we should just rotate 7-8 players. This is the Champions League. Milan are a good side. You got to treat this competition with respect. You want to rotate? You got Carabao Cup next week. Do it in that.
Tom, would you drop or rotate Jota?
No, because I don't want to play Nunes.
What about Gakpo?
I'm playing Gakpo instead of Szoboszlai. I'm going to a 4-4-2 in that sense. So Szoboszlai shouldn't play, and Szoboszlai is very lucky that Harvey Elliott's injured. If Harvey Elliott wasn't injured, I don't think Szoboszlai would be the first choice in that position for the next couple of games.
Tom, do you worry that with Klopp going, you lose a bit of that Anfield fortressness? Like, do you think that he was
that's been going for years? I could go on and on about the state of our atmosphere. It's been crap since COVID. Since we came back from COVID, it's just been slowly decreasing, and there's factors behind that. People will say,
what are those factors? Because it was particularly quiet on Saturday.
It's a mixture of old people who've had the tickets for years that don't want to give them up, but then don't embrace the atmosphere, and people who come from wherever in the globe, whether it's from down south or whatever, who come to the game and don't embrace the atmosphere. I don't care.
Do you mean tourists?
Yes, but in the sense of
Tom hates tourists and he hates old people. What are we doing here?
Anyone cancelled? Cancel him.
It is a case of I have no problem with wherever you're from. If you're coming to Anfield, as long as you embrace it. People go to the game and just expect it to all happen in front of them. You're going to the game to support. You're not paying for a guarantee. You're not paying for anything. You're there to support the players. Now at Anfield, I haven't been for. I used to go pretty regularly before COVID. Now the last game I went to was 2 seasons ago, and I went to that game. Was sat in the Kenny Dalglish stand, started singing, and I got glared at like I'd murdered someone's child for trying to sing. And
I would argue that Tottenham have got more tourists than Liverpool because of the amount of fans who come to watch Son. And we've got a relatively good atmosphere. We've got plenty of old people.
Because you've got people who want to sing. It's almost like our fans are
entitled.
Our fans are entitled because they've seen success in recent years and they just think it's all going to happen in front of them. And they can just watch it unfold and they can watch the famous atmosphere and it'll all happen around them. No, if you're going to the game, you need to get involved in it. You need to sing. You need to start getting involved. Exactly. People will come to Anfield because of the famous atmosphere, because of the famous nights. I expect it to happen around them. No, it happens because the people who went the game that night, that day, were singing and celebrating and getting behind the players. That's going away. There's multiple factors. It's not one or the other. And both sides, I know it's a little bit off topic, both sides in this section of atmosphere debates are playing each other off. The tourists are blaming the old people blame the tourists. It's both of you. You're both at fault. And putting more hospitality in doesn't help. There was a promise made years ago that there's going to be a section in the stadium dedicated to a younger fan base. That's not happened. Fucking hell, I can't wait to see that happen because that's not happened yet, and it's been like 3 years. When's that happening?
Yeah, I do think at all football grounds, when you turn up and you get a Michelin star level 3-course meal with a Sunday roast and you eat it before a game, no one then has the energy to make noise at a game.
Lad, you are the new stand's got candy floss in it. The new stand, you can buy candy floss before the game.
Oh my God.
What are we doing?
That is the least scouse thing. You can buy
in the newsstand.
Is it pink or red? Is it red or pink?
I don't know. I turned off the video because what I saw 10 seconds of it. There was a wall where there was a bunch of PS5s that you can play before the game. I stand to buy candy floss. What happens to having a pint, having a pie, and getting up in your seat?
Do you know one of the best things you can do at my brother's club, Leighton Orient? You pay for these special tickets, and they put you in what looks like an old-fashioned dugout with a corner flag. And then at half-time, a Domino's pizza person drives across the pitch on a moped and brings you a pizza.
Yes,
I love it. It is fun. That's kind of funny, though. There's another one in England where they've got hot tubs on the corners, and you sit in the hot tub watching the games. I do think, though, but if you suddenly have 60,000 seaters, but like 10,000 people are getting like hospitality, that is going to hurt your atmosphere. It is. Nobbins, let me ask you a question about Liverpool. Do you think people are overreacting to Slot's first loss? Do you think there's a bit of an overreaction? Oh, is the honeymoon over? Are we now going to see a downturn? Or is it just one bad day in the office for you?
Yeah, people overreact because it's fun to overreact because that's how humans work and that's how football fans work. I think there have been some really good things about Slot's starts to Liverpool. I've been very impressed. It's already apparent that he's a very good manager. There shouldn't be a case of throwing the baby out of the bathwater. I think Tom's covered a lot of the issues I experienced. It's just about tweaks. And you experience that and you learn, you develop and you grow as a manager as you go throughout a season. Let's not forget, this is Slot's first season in the Premier League. It was incredibly, I know we're only 4 games in, so I'm talking about the title challenge is already over, but it was always going to be incredibly difficult for Slot to challenge for the title because unless you're a Chelsea manager, it's nearly unheard of to win the Premier League in your first season at that club, in your first season in the English top flight. Apart from Pellegrini, I think it's only Chelsea managers that have done it. So history was always against Slot in that respect. The decision-making does have to go up a level in respect to the subs, like Tom's already touched on the issues with, Szoboszlai. I don't know what the situation is with Curtis Jones. I was a bit surprised that maybe he didn't see action a little bit earlier, or maybe he didn't start.
He's getting back from an injury. So
okay, that's reasonable, yeah. But decisions like, it's a very Southgate decision to, put Trent in midfield, for example. And that's surprising. That's surprising when, I think it was only last week or maybe the week before, like Slot came out and correctly said, Trent needs to play out wide because that's where his best attributes are in respect of crossing. So he's clearly profiled him correctly, but then he opts to pop him in midfield when they need a goal, but Trent isn't a midfielder. He can't do that, nor should he be expected to do that. So yeah, people are overreacting, but it's fun to overreact. Liverpool will be fine this year. In my opinion, they'll finish third, a comfortable third, way ahead of fourth, but just missing out on, properly challenging Arsenal and City. And that's fine. I think if we're being realistic and pragmatic, no one truly expects Liverpool to truly challenge with the last game of the season. I don't think it's reasonable to expect that either.
No, our best chance in the cups this year. We are built like a good cup team. We have been under Klopp for many years. You've got pace and attack. You've got a couple of solid defenders, and you've got, for the most part, a serviceable midfield. So you're a team that can win knockout games. We lack the depth probably to win the title. You could win the title this year, but you'd need a massive fall off from City and a massive fall off from Arsenal, and then you to be really good up throughout the rest of it. And that's not going to happen. So you're not going to win the title this year. For us, our aim's got to be, like I said, going into the season, you've got to maintain where you finish in the league. You don't want to go backwards league-wise. And I want to see us give a really good account of ourselves in the Champions League. And if that's where you win the trophy, that's where you win it. If not, you should be adding trophies. Liverpool have to win trophies. And the game on Saturday doesn't, change my view on that. I'm not stressing out about that. It was a bad day at the office. If it continues to happen, if I see it happening again, we've got Bournemouth at home next week on Saturday. If it happens against Bournemouth, then, the concerns start to rise again. A one-off thing isn't a problem, especially for a new manager in his first season at the club. If it starts becoming a regular thing, and there's games where we're seeing the same thing happen again, where we can't break down these low blocks, the style of football is too slow. I'd like to think this would be a big learning curve for Slot, who has shown that he's willing to adapt so far. I'd like to think that now he's seen it firsthand, he's more willing to make the correct changes and not go to a 3 at the back with Tsimikas at centre back, whatever that was.
Szoboszlai, another poor game for him in a Liverpool shirt. I want to throw this out to the panel if anyone wants to jump on this. I just started off the first 3 or 4 games under Klopp last season looking very good. Since then, he is really flattered to deceive. What's your thoughts on him, Jords?
I think Szoboszlai has been fell off a cliff. Like you said, I think the first couple of games I saw him, I thought he was actually really bright, really good. But to be honest, it's similar to Maddison, man. I feel like he's a lot of people put an expectation on him and his role and what he was going to be in as part of the Liverpool team to be a lot higher than what he actually is and the level of player he is. I think he isn't as good in the final third as many thought he was because they saw a few long shots and they saw him hit a few goals for Leipzig from far. They thought he was going to be a bagsman and, you know, score quite a few goals for Liverpool, but that's not the type of player he is. I was actually going to ask Tom a similar question as with regards to Liverpool, because when I've seen Liverpool and I look at your games, I think you guys probably have had about 2, maybe 3 good halves of football. Apart from that, you've been dominated by a few teams and you've actually looked really poor. And I was going to say, you're not worried about that because although, albeit in the halves that you've been good, you've been really good and you've dispatched of teams. But in those other halves of games where the teams have been better than you, they've had chances and they probably could have put you guys away. Is that not a growing concern? Because obviously, like, you haven't been consistent across these games. It's not like you're performing for 90 minutes. You're really just having good spells in games and taking advantage of it.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think
I would say first half Ipswich we weren't great, and then it was probably second half Forest where we weren't great. I'd say all the Brentford game we weren't under pressure. All the United game bar the last 20 minutes when we were 3-0 up and captain decided to just take the foot off the pedal, we were fine. And the first 10, if you want to really nitpick.
United game, yeah, that wasn't even a worry.
And then Nottingham Forest, first half we were actually all right against Forest. We were doing all the correct things. It was just we weren't. There wasn't enough pace in it. And then in the second half, rather than picking up the pace, we kind of just panicked a little bit, which was weird. I wouldn't say it's been like a concern in the sense of there's been a lot of moments like that. I'd say it's been 2 real halves of football. But the point that I do get is there is still a not reliance, but still a natural curve back to the way it was under Klopp, where it's transitions and hitting them and waiting for teams to expose themselves and then hitting them on the counter attack. We've not necessarily had games where it's been from minute 1 to 90 the slot style of football, which is really possession oriented, having people involved. And I'm fine with that. I quite like having it in that mixture, but it felt like Forest, because we weren't getting any luck on the transitions, we weren't really having much joy in terms of getting anything going because we couldn't fall back onto what was working in the past. So there is a point. I don't think we've been as bad in terms of there's been games where we've not been great. I'd say, like I said, first half Ipswich, second half Forest. For the rest, I've been pretty happy with it.
On Szoboszlai, very quickly, comment that's just been released in a press conference via Arnie Slot is on Dominik Szoboszlai. He says, as an attacking midfield player playing for Liverpool, your numbers must be a lot better. And again, I would agree. I think when you're playing for a team as big and as historic as Liverpool, you've got to be, and you're an attacking midfielder, you've got to start creating or scoring goals. I mean, it's what you're judged on ultimately.
He's an 8 than a 10.
I'm just quoting what the manager's saying.
I can see that appeal. He's got the engine for an 8. Defensively, there's a little bit of a question mark around him because he has played mainly as a 10, but he's got the engine for an 8, and maybe that kind of negates the issue that I think he has, which is he's doing too much. He's so busy. Like if you watch a 2-minute section of Liverpool where both goalkeepers have the ball, when Alisson has the ball, Szoboszlai's practically in between the centre-backs. And then when their keeper has the ball, Szoboszlai's the man closing the keeper down. He's running here, there, and everywhere. So by the time that he gets on the ball, he's goosed, especially after the moments where he picks up the ball and does this 40-yard mad dash through the line. He's goosed. He plays a tired pass. A lot of his passes seem overhit and tired and desperate. I feel like if he's an 8, maybe that gets negated because he's got more of a set position. The only problem we have there is then you put McAllister in the 10 and asking McAllister to do an awful lot of pressing work, which I don't necessarily want him to do. I think Szoboszlai, technically and output-wise, needs to be better, but we kind of can't lose him at the minute from that position because he does so much work in terms of running, and we haven't been able to lose that need of a runner We still need his energy and his pressing in order for the shape and the structure. So until that gets negated, Szoboszlai kind of has to play a lot of the games because he's the only guy who can match that. If McAllister was trying to lead the press, we'd get passed through quite easily, and your pivot might be a little bit weaker defensively. So Szoboszlai definitely needs to improve, especially in terms of output. You can see he's got it because for the first 2-3 games of the season, he was actually quite good. It's just a consistency thing. We need to start getting the consistency, and when you're costing as much money as you cost, we need to try and find it quickly. Ideally, I'm not stressed out about him yet, but there is a concern there. And like I said, I think he's quite lucky that Harvey Elliott's injured at the minute.
Button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. I know a lot of you hit the like button, but make sure more of you are getting that done. Important win for Chelsea at the weekend. Sancho getting a lot of plaudits, picking up the man of the match. Some people thought that Sanchez in goal deserved it, but Giuseppe, what did you make of Chelsea? I mean, there's some that said they were lucky. You know, Bournemouth had lots of opportunities and chances, but they stepped up and they picked up an important 3 points.
Yeah, listen, fair enough to Chelsea to get the win. I think, you're ready. Ain't it funny how, like, because I always see Manchester United a bit like Arsenal. It's funny how the PR around Sancho's quickly changed as soon as he's gone to Chelsea, and he was at United. Why he got man of the match, I don't really know. But that's for a different talking point. But I thought Chelsea didn't deserve to win the game, to be honest. But when you've got that's the one thing that why I think Chelsea won't be that bad this season, league position wise, because the amount of players they've got. The fact is, when they play these teams like Bournemouth and that, they can bring on 5 players now off the bench that are actually like good quality players because they've got so many. Like they can bring attackers on like nothing. They can bring on 5 attackers that get into half of the Premier League teams, technically, like these Bournemouths and stuff like that. But to leave it to the last minute and win the way they did, when I think they could they have lost the game? I don't think they maybe deserve to lose the game, but I think a draw would have been a fair result. But yeah, listen, Chelsea fans were going to melt down if they didn't win that game, but they won it, and then they all wanted to come out. Not David, fair enough, but like other Chelsea fans that, no, we won. Sancho, because he got an assist. But yeah, listen, I don't think Chelsea are going to be that great this year. I think they're going to be very inconsistent this season. That's what I think. I think they're going to get some really good results and some poor results. I don't think they're there yet. Maybe it's because Maresca still working on his stuff, but you can see a bit of a plan at Chelsea compared to certain other clubs. So I think you can give them that. But another thing is, some people, please tell Nkunku this balloon celebration every time he scores. Like it's the sort of thing you do in big moments. These sort of celebrations. Tell Nkunku.
We heard you sing Waka Waka for a fucking year. Allow him, bro. Okay, that's some Waka Waka every time.
That's
sure
the
balloon
fans.
should be the last thing you were.
That's the fans, not the player. Brother's bringing out balloons when he's scoring a penalty in a Europa Conference League.
Why are you hitting on a balloon, bro? Why does it bother you?
No, I'm just saying that.
Chill on the balloons.
Yeah, I'm a hater of balloons, mate. I don't like it. No, I just.
What if there's some like dead deep meaning behind that celebration now? Like it comes out in a couple of days.
He blows balloons for his daughter.
His grandmother died in an air balloon accident. Every single celebration's
It is to do with his son. That's why he does it.
See, now you're just taking the mick out of Nkunku's son.
Crazy.
Listen.
Cancel this man.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got you attacking people's. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Giuseppe's out here attacking people's children. Tom is out here wanting to hurt old people. This stream has gone. And tourists, yes.
Wow.
And tourists. You had Deji earlier wanting to fly kick Timo Werner in his bean heads. Like, what's going on today? What is going on? Bloody hell! What's his name? Nobbins is in court. You know what I mean? The whole of Man City's in court. It's been a shambles. I mean, you say they're lucky to win. So what do you think, Staffy? Do you think Chelsea got lucky on Saturday night?
I mean, isn't luck involved in football anyways? Yeah, maybe it's. Listen, I said on the preview on Straight Facts that it's their bogey team. And fair enough, they won. David, how many times did you lose to them?
Bournemouth put 5 past us at our own house. Bro, Bournemouth is not a team that we just, for some reason,
I don't know why.
That small little stadium, it gets to me, bro. We can't do anything about it. They just do it to us.
Yeah, exactly. So when you put that context into it, it's a good result because you picked up 3 points that you weren't picking up in the last few years. And we have to be a little bit more genuine here. Chelsea last season couldn't face adversity. When they faced adversity, they lost games. This time they faced adversity and they won. So let's not act like this Chelsea team is ready to dominate teams for 90 minutes. Let's not pretend that they've been doing this for a while. It's a new team, new manager, a lot of new signings. They need time to adapt. And fair enough. It probably wasn't their best game, but they left with the 3 points. So I feel like at the end of the day, we got to keep the same energy with most teams. You know, if you win ugly and the context makes sense, just take the 3 points and focus on the next game. Now, when they go next game, I don't know who they face. If David wants to tell me, I'm pretty sure you'll be at home because you just played
West Ham away.
Oh, see, now that's another trick. But never mind. That changes a lot. That changes a lot. That's another multi team.
West Ham are not good.
No, Tom, I agree with you.
But Tom,
West Ham hype. I say this every Friday. Dan Wallace, I'll see you again on Friday, brother, because you're struggling out here with Fulham. We'll talk about that. West Ham hype. However,
no, but the reason why
they
West
do
Ham
struggle
were a Chelsea
with West Ham
bogey team
in their stadium.
West Ham were the bogey team for Chelsea because they were hard to play against, and it really got them up. Now they've got this Lopetegui who's trying to play this nice style of football. They've not got the players for it. This could be another one for Chelsea where they just 2-3. Like I genuinely haven't. Everyone was going on about West Ham before this season. Oh, look at the signings they've made. You know, Fulkrug, Somerville, Rodriguez, Saliba, etc., etc., etc. They've not moved the needle. They don't move the needle. I'm still seeing Michael Antonio starting. Danny Ings, that's a bail him out.
Yeah,
I projected them to finish 10th with this team because I said this team doesn't move me. I said if Fulkrug scores 8 goals, that's a successful season. I think he's at 0.
I saw him sprint the other day.
Sprint.
He's not an athlete. He's not.
It was like imagine you put on concrete boots and you try and run through almost dried cement. It was
he runs like a Flintstone. That's what he runs like.
That's why we talked about that in the summer. And I think I spoke to you, David, because you watch a lot of German football. And you said something about you were like, you scored 17 goals about that last 2 seasons or whatever. And I tried to tell you, Bundesliga time. He's an elite ball striker, and that's it. Like he'll hit the ball and he'll travel with 99 pace. That's it. Other than that, the guy doesn't possess anything. But anyways, back to Chelsea. It might be a weird game for them just because they're away. But listen, I think Chelsea's doing well. They will need time to play good football that they expect. You know, consistent at least football. But I'm not worried about that. I think they're doing well.
What I like about Chelsea's games is that their games are so fun. Because you kind of know that both teams are going to get opportunities to score in it. And Chelsea fans will say we weren't lucky because Bournemouth didn't have clear-cut chances. And I think there's an element of truth to that. I thought Bournemouth's final ball was really poor considering the areas they found themselves in. That isn't something I think Chelsea should disregard because if West Ham get the balls in those areas, you could argue they've got better forwards. The likes of Bowen and Kudos could punish you from those areas. But as a kind of neutral to a degree, or not as a non-Chelsea fan, I love their games. Their games are all. I watch both their games in the Conference League. No, but not most people that are not Chelsea fans wouldn't have tuned in. They're open. They're end-to-end games. It's amazing to watch. They are so entertaining as a team. But you're absolutely right in what you said earlier, Staffy. You look at the plethora. It might have been Giuseppe that said it. The plethora of talent they have coming on from the bench is crazy. Sancho came on. João Felix came on. Nkunku came onto the pitch. Tosin came onto the pitch. There is quality there, which is why they should be expected to have a good season considering where they are. However, I still think the biggest issue that they need to address is how to stop affording teams so many opportunities or chances in games. There's still far too much for a side that wants to progress back into top level European football. That you won't make the top 4 with the amount of opportunities you're currently leaking. However, there's loads of room for improvement. And look, I think they've got the talent in the team to be able to improve. I really, really do. What are you on, Terry? Rennie's. Actually, I've had a bit of a chest today. I don't know what you mean. What if you think what I've said is wrong? You can't say what you want. You've got to challenge me with words and an argument. They broke the yellow card record. We know why the yellow card record got broken.
Can I just say, Anthony Taylor I don't know what he has against. It's not that he's got something against my club, but it's just that for some reason, whenever it comes to managing our games, it feels like he's got to make a point from the PGMOL.
But it wasn't about Chelsea, though.
I'm not saying it's about Chelsea.
You
What
are
I'm saying
right.
is that when the PGMOL have to make a point about something, it just happens to fall on our game with Anthony Taylor.
But it was every single. This is how dumb the PGMOL are. Every single televised game this weekend seemed to have weird numbers of yellow cards and yellow card decisions. The 3 p.m. games, which are not televised in England, Szoboszlai's booting the ball away on a yellow card, isn't picking up a second yellow, and he booted the ball away. Bruno Fernandes was booked for delaying the restart before the whistle was blown to stop play. And still, nobody has put an explanation out there how you can book someone before the whistle's been blown. The Chelsea game was just horrendous, the amount of yellow cards that were given. It's very similar to the North London derby as well. There were some decisions in that where you're like, that's not a yellow, but it was all performative. It was all so they could say, we were right to book Declan Rice. It will be gone in a couple of weeks. It was an anomaly weekend where they were literally booking people to make a point. Like they talk about
like that one in the North London derby where he just books 3 people for the same play. He goes to him like, you done something there, you done something there, you done something there.
There was also one that threw me off as well, because there was one where he called a foul because there was no advantage, but he gave a yellow for both of the fouls. And it makes if advantage isn't played, how can you give a free kick and a yellow to another player? It makes no sense.
There was that.
I also quite like Vicario getting booked for his shirt being grabbed.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Colwell was on a yellow, swore at Anthony Taylor, top of his lungs. Like
didn't get a second. Didn't get a second. It was a shit show of a weekend. Based on what they booked Rice for, Saliba's yellow card made sense because he was walking back with the ball to stop the restart. But in the first half, or earlier on in that half, Arsenal got a free kick and a Spurs player literally flicked the ball away like Declan Rice did. Nothing happened. And it was an awful weekend for the referees, making weird decisions based on the stupid red card they gave to Declan Rice. And I know that letter of the law, but this weekend is what happens when you referee the game almost by the letter of the law. I think we've all realized that's stupid. You even need to do that every week now, or you've got to stop this bullshit and become more consistent. And I heard Gary Neville defended it. Why does Sky always defend the referees? Oh, do you not think they should hire the threshold for the second yellow? Then what's the fucking point of the first yellow? You're meant to go on a yellow, so it hinders your game slightly. You can't make that last, like, when you see a player do a cynical foul in the first 10 minutes, I always love it when it's against my team because you're like, right, they can't make another cynical foul on a breakaway and they can't make that last ditch tackle in case they get sent off. If you then hire the threshold for yellow cards to now be like an orange card, how can you justify booking people in the first place? It's honestly just to defend their bad decisions that it ruins the game. It's crazy. And it's no conspiracy against Arsenal or Chelsea. It's just absolutely horrendous. They need their heads banging together. Bring in someone official. For the context of that particular game, it was a great win. No CM as Cuckoo and Viagra. I need to say Viagra. Vega played there. Disaster at right back, not deserved, but still we won away. And by the way, it was Chelsea's first clean sheet in their last 17 away games.
Don't say that in front of Henry. He's starving for a clean sheet.
Yeah, Henry is old Henry O'Connor. With Lavia and Gusto back in full team training today, hopefully we will see these two play against West Ham. Yeah, I bet you absolutely do. Arsenal obviously picked up, I know we spoke about Spurs earlier, but Arsenal picked up a win. And I am seeing the typical response of, well, you won the game, but you should do because Spurs are rubbish. But all week, the build-up, Giuseppe, was, if you don't win this game, league title over, Arsenal win it, and now it's no big deal. Talk to me.
Yeah, listen, it's the standard Arsenal treatment. We win, and there's always something about the win. Now it was, but that you won ugly. We won comfortably, mate. That's all I can say. We won comfortably. Why do we have to do something that we don't have to do to win a game? We knew that we could go there. We were missing 2 of our main midfielders, and I'm sorry, any team in the Premier League losing 2 key midfielders like that, plus having another one already injured, it's going to affect you in a big game like this, right? Man City, as a example, if they got an injury to Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri, and then they had Manchester United at Old Trafford in that game, it's going to affect the game, and they're going to have to look and say, and City have probably got a bit, not probably, they've got a better squad than us anyway. So to think that we won ugly and people saying, oh, this and that about Arsenal's win is just stupid. I think Tottenham fans are actually like trying to make themselves feel better about the game when they say stuff like, we gave them respect. I think if anything, we gave them no respect. We knew Arteta just was like, these guys are crap. We can go there, we can sit back and we'll still beat these guys. I think that the game itself, I thought was a good performance. I think that the midfield wasn't maybe as good as we would have liked. I thought Trossard was good in there in the 10, but we're missing players and we didn't have to do much to win the game. It shows how much we've developed and how good our defense is, definitely away from home. Like that stat, 3 conceded in the last 11 away games. And we've had City away in there as well. Just one shows how bloody good City are, because that record is unreal, as City still ended up winning the league last year. And we're still behind City this year. So it just shows how good City are when you can have defensive records like that away from home and win rates away from home.
I read something today based on, I think it's 23 games for Arsenal and 24 league games for Man City. In the calendar year, both Arsenal and City are tracking towards 104 and 105 points respectively. And I suppose this is the point here. You know, Arsenal's current win rate, their away record, the lack of goals being conceded. Do you still feel, I know that you don't do this, Nobbins, but do you still feel like there's a lack of respect put towards this Arsenal team because they haven't lifted the Premier League yet? When you actually look at their record, their win percentage, and how phenomenal they have been away from home.
Yeah, there's no doubting, there's no dispute, there's no doubting that Arsenal are an elite team with an elite manager. Yeah, I think I would like to say I'm one of those people who does give Arsenal the due credit that they deserve. The main issue from most outsiders looking in is most people won't really give them those plaudits until, and maybe rightly so long term, until they win one of the 2 main trophies, i.e. a Champions League or a Premier League. That's obviously going to be the main question mark. You know, can you overcome Pep City? Because there's not many people have done that. Klopp obviously did it with Liverpool, for example. That's going to be the key sticking point. And in terms of that record, it's like 103, 104 points. Like, it's mental. Obviously, just like goes to show the standards that we're at now in the Premier League, and it echoes that point of you've almost, and Tom will know this more than anyone else, you've got to be borderline perfect to if City are on it anyway, you've got to be borderline perfect to beat Pep City to the title, unless City are not on it in a particular season. And I guess the Spurs game is probably a really good dress rehearsal from an Arsenal perspective, because we all know how Arsenal are going to play against City, regardless of injuries or suspensions. You know, they came to us with a full strength team last year, and they played that, and they were totally well within their rights to do that. I expect to be a similar thing on Sunday, I think it is, we play them, isn't it? So, yeah, big game for them, to be honest. I know it's early days, but if let's hypothetical they lose, that's 5 points dropped in 5 games, is it? I think that's the maths on that. Which is early days, obviously, but every point matters when you're against Pep City, yeah. But yeah, credit to Arsenal. Great team, of course.
Yeah, I think that's why that Arsenal fans started getting a bit stressed after the Brighton game, because it's really one of the games in there that you wouldn't really want to drop points in, knowing we've got how good City have started the season. Obviously, with City starting the season as they have, that's why I'm so entertained going into this game on the weekend, because I think you've got that Arsenal defensive record away versus this current goal scoring frenzy that Haaland's on. So it's really going to be interesting. And
I want to throw out a stat on that. Sorry to interject when you're talking. The stats, the current goal scoring rate he's on, if he maintained this for the rest of the season, he would score 152 goals this campaign. That's how ridiculous this start of the season has been for Haaland. He's tracking in all comps to 152 goals this season. We know he isn't going to do that.
My generational striker,
But
yeah.
I mean, he is the best finisher the Premier League has ever seen. I just think it's undebatable now. What
Best
he's doing
finisher?
is ridiculous. The best
I think
goal scorer
not the
finisher
best
ever. Yeah,
goal scorer, yeah, not finisher though.
I see them both as the same thing. If you're the best finisher, you score the most goals. That's what I mean. Yeah, like it's you could argue some people strike the ball better than he does, but it's just ridiculous what that man's doing. So yeah, him up against Arsenal's defense this weekend's going to be an epic battle.
I think it's going to be a good one to watch because, to be honest, Saliba's had the better of him. And Saliba and Gabriel have ragdolled him the past couple of games. I generally think he's had some of his poorest performances in a Man City shirt against Arsenal. So for him, I think in the hot form that he is, it's going to be a big challenge. And because Saliba's just in just as good as form right now as well. But I think everyone's probably going to be looking at Haaland to have that bigger performance rather than Saliba or rather than Arsenal's defense per se, because as we've seen, Man City have had problems unlocking that last season. They didn't really have too much joy breaking through Arsenal's defense and Haaland especially. So I'm looking most forward to seeing if Haaland can actually step up and, do it against the bigger players. Because I'm not saying he's a small boy bully or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to put out there. But against what Saliba is, one of the better players. So Haaland calls himself the best striker in the league. All right, come up against one of the best centre-backs in the league. Are you going to perform? So far, he hasn't. We need to sit against the best players for you to start.
He did a couple of years ago, in fairness, in the treble-winning year. He scored against Arsenal home and away, didn't he?
You're talking about the 4-1 when you beat him 4-1.
Wasn't Saliba injured that day?
He scored in both. No.
Saliba didn't play.
He scored in both games, though, George.
We're talking about his performances against Saliba nobbins, though, so that doesn't reflect.
But Saliba didn't miss both games.
Saliba played in one of the games.
Saliba missed the second.
Okay, I did say the most recent game. So the past 3 games you guys have played, he hasn't, has he? Scored.
But that's why I specified a couple of years ago. So the idea that he hasn't proven himself against Saliba, I think, is silly.
Well, because a couple of years ago, Saliba wasn't at the level that he is now. He's had 2 seasons under Arsenal at a higher level, and he's performed himself. That season
wasn't Saliba in the team of the season 2 years ago. I think it was fantastic.
2 seasons ago, in his first season in the Premier League.
Yeah, and he was brilliant. He was.
I don't think he
one of the best
the
defenders
same level
in
he
the
did
league.
last year. He went a level up last year, and then right this season, correctly so, he's going up another level.
To be fair, 2 seasons ago, we were saying he's the best centre back in the league. Well, not all of us, but a lot of people were saying that.
In his first season in the Premier League.
Yes, he was.
You didn't hear Arsenal fans 2 seasons ago?
Best defender.
I think it's a fair challenge, but I think it's a fair challenge by George here. But what I would say is shows how good Haaland is. He's getting what I call the Cristiano Ronaldo treatment, and some of you youngsters that are on the panel or watching won't remember this because you won't be able to think back 20 plus years ago when Ronaldo was coming through. Every season there was a new challenge. It was you're not score. I remember when he first started scoring goals, he got to start doing it more regularly. He started doing it more regularly. He scored in the Carabao Cup final. Yeah, but I always remember. Yeah, but he doesn't score enough against back then. It was the fellow top 4 teams, and I remember that following season he started scoring in those games. Then at that point, his Champions League record wasn't particularly great. And I remember he scored a goal. Unless that was against Roma in a group game, and it was his first goal in the Champions League for 2 years. And I remember people saying we can't ever think of Ronaldo to elite until he starts scoring more goals. And it'll be different challenges, but this is what Haaland is now going to go through. People are going to look for those little nuggets. Oh, he hasn't scored against this defender, or because he hasn't scored in a final yet, I believe, for City, and that's something people will focus on. By the way, he'll score a hat-trick in the final this season, maybe, and then they'll move on to the next kind of milestone. But that is what happens to the best of the best in their respective positions. You know what I mean? We're still waiting for Harry Kane to lift that trophy, but Haaland's beyond that, and that's true. I'm just pointing it out. Because Harry Kane, in terms of finishing,
we're not talking about Kane. Just leave Kane.
No, we are. We're talking about elite players and setting exceedingly high standards until they come into the Legends Club. Do you know what I'm saying?
What's funny about that, Kane? You're talking about Haaland breaking all these records. You know, Kane was just broke Haaland's records over in Bundesliga as well for the most amount of goals in his first 50 games. He's doing his thing.
22 when he was in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
What a disingenuous comparison.
I know, it's crazy.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm not doing Kane up half over the message. That's it. You haven't heard. Wait, David. You haven't heard me mention Kane's name in over 12 months.
No. I'm just gonna add context to the stat of you're talking about a prime Harry Kane, or at least, if not prime, a very close to prime Harry Kane. Oh, please, people are still talking about how he's the second best striker in the world against a
He's
19 year
Same English fan.
No, mind you, one played for Dortmund, the other one playing for Bayern.
Against a 19-year-old fresh out of Austria, Erling Haaland. That's all I want to say. That's
David,
all I
David, how is
it
Kane
shows
not
up
the
about
second best
That's all I'm
striker
going
in
to
the world?
say. That's what I'm going to say. What? Sorry?
If Kane isn't the second best striker in the world, then who is?
No, I'm not saying he's not. What I'm saying is
Oh,
that
right, okay, yeah, I'm
you're
with you.
comparing a guy who's at the very top of his game to a kid who literally came from Austria and was playing next to Paco Alcácer. You don't even know who that is. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Let's
I get a lot of stick from City fans for not liking them, but the one thing they can't, they're not like, listen, I'll ride out for Haaland. I'm someone that loves efficiency in football. I do like great skills. I will. No, I will. And it isn't because it's Haaland. I hate having to do that. I wish he was a Man United player. I just rate efficiency at that level. I rate players who consistently deliver and do their job. Whether it's a goalkeeper that always makes great saves, whether it's a defender who barely gets beaten, barely gets caught out of position, whether it's a midfielder like Paul Scholes, who is very rarely loses possession in dangerous places, nearly always makes the right decisions. When it comes to strikers, we're not putting the ball away as regularly as he has. And by the way, I still look at the numbers. The only other player in European football history that at his age has the same amount of goals is R9. No one else has done this. We are literally looking at history every time he goes on the pitch. I don't like the slander towards him. I feel the slander towards him is an attack on football at large. I find it an attack on football, and I feel like I've got to defend it. It's weird. I hate doing it. It's like when people attack Mo Salah. I hate having to defend him. But you've got to. If you hate Mo Salah and you hate Haaland, I think you hate football. Or you watch it. It's not fucking ballet.
We watch it different.
It isn't ballet. It isn't breakdancing.
I think, because I have to disagree. I think that those types of players, like you said, you rate efficiency. So obviously we view the game very differently. But if you rate efficiency, you would like those types of players. But there's certain people that like to watch the game and they enjoy players that lift them out of their seats.
You don't rate efficiency because you support Tottenham.
Pardon?
Name me the players. Hang on, let's play the game. Name me those players.
Vinny Jr.
There's obviously a few. I mean, Lamine Yamal, he's one of them. One of those young players coming through. Who for me,
I've just heard Lamar, and I've just heard. Hang on, I've just heard Lamar, and I've just heard Vinicius Jr. They are both also highly fucking efficient. Name me some more ballers that we all love in the game who are not efficient. Let's go.
Delta Rat.
I know, wait. That's the thing. You're not getting. No, Terry.
Anyone on that Barclaysman trend during the international break? Anyone on that trend?
The Barclays men were not efficient at all. I'll tell you that.
Benison.
But on Barclays men, my one was I like Chris Brunt. Chris Brunt was one of mine. I always
he had a left foot him.
He had a left foot, and he'd be like, yeah, he was just one of those players. And there was another one as well who stood out to me, and I was like, Edison. Yeah, but no, Pedersen was one, and I had him in my head, and then I forgot who he was.
What team?
I don't even remember now. I don't remember now.
Roddy Jaeger and Zombie at Wigan.
Them two together. No. Mine was he played for Swansea and then he went to Leicester.
Nathan Dyer.
I liked him. He was like, he was just one of those players that every time I watched him, I was like, why isn't he a better team? I used to like that guy, but yeah.
Jefferson, Swansea had a couple, Jefferson Montero always used to cook Arsenal, and that was about it.
Angel Rangel.
I can't even lie. Ashley Williams.
But my younger era, you guys won't remember players like Darren Huckabee. So Darren Huckabee, this guy was a technically gifted. He was great. He was. There was a Liverpool player I used to like as well. You lot are all too young to remember. His name was Stig Bjørneby. For some reason, I just liked the way he played football. He wasn't even that good. I tell you, there was a Spurs player that I also used to love when I was younger. Was Ronnie Rosenthal. He used to play for Liverpool as well. Actually, he was at both clubs. Michu could probably go into that category. He was a good player. But no, I do listen. I love flair players. I love beautiful players that play the game. But I think efficiency is disrespected too much, is what I'm saying, and people try and they try and play it down too much.
It's also the hardest thing in football to score goals.
Yes.
And he's the best in the world at doing the hardest thing in the sport. It's really weird when people try to undermine that, and like people have gone on record going, well, he could never be the best player in the world. Well, that's silly. Like, what if he keeps scoring? Like, what if he scores like 60 goals a season for the next 5 years? At what stage do you just have to own up?
He will win one,
He
Nubbins,
is.
before Mbappe. And I said this on the top 6 before, and I'll say it again. He's probably not a better all-round footballer than Mbappe, but he's so excellent at a couple categories where he's 10 out of 10 out of Whereas Mbappe, he's more like a 7 out of 10 in more categories. You know what I'm saying? So he has more to his game, but he cannot perfect one thing, in my opinion, like Haaland perfects goal scoring. And that will always stand out more.
Movement, yeah, 100%.
I also think with Haaland, I think you could put Haaland in a number of the better teams in the Prem, and I still think he'd score similar amounts of goals. You see that through his career prior to City, he was scoring at that kind of similar rate. I think if he was playing for a Villa, I think if he was playing for Tottenham, I think if he was playing for Arsenal,
we could definitely do with him.
No, but he doesn't just score. Like, I know people tapping merchant.
You're not going to be crossing the ball to him.
He
scores. Brennan Johnson, come on.
I don't know about you.
Brennan Johnson won't find him, so.
Maybe. I think he scores so many half chances that most other strikers miss. That's why he's tracking towards 152 goals this season. He's just brilliant. He really is.
That chip by the way, that he scored last game, the way he just got in front of the defender.
He scored like 3 of them this season.
Slowed him down, made him bump into him so he can get an advantage on him, waited for the ball to roll next to him just so he can do that chip. This is all by design. Like, this is not him just stumbling into the ball and figuring out last second what I'm going to do. He knew exactly what he wanted to do.
Very clever.
You can definitely tell that time off during the World Cup when everyone else was playing
been grinding.
And he was grinding in pre-season. You can tell how much like it's impacted his start to the season because he's been amazing, man.
How good do you guys think he'd actually be? Like, I know we're going to move on in a second, but are we talking?
If he stays in the Prem for a few more years, he will go down as the best striker in history.
No, I'm talking, like, let's be honest, he's probably never ever going to win a major honor with his nation unless we see a Denmark or a Greece, a freak of nature thing happen. Unless like,
you've got to factor that in.
If he's fit,
do you think he could be like? His numbers right now are better than Ronaldo, Messi at that age.
I think he could go into that category of players who are just below, who are in the category below Messi and Ronaldo. Messi and Ronaldo are in the top 2 for me, and I understand that there's loads of players that you could put in there. Their longevity at the highest level for me just puts them above everybody else. You've got that category underneath that just has all the other greats in it. I think Haaland goes into that category. Then it's about tearing him in there. I think as long as he doesn't get a bad injury, I think he'll go into that kind of category of player. Now, technically, you'd probably put him into a level below that as an overall technical footballer. But I think the amount of goals he's going to score and trophies he's going to win, again, it adds a layer to that legacy as well. And there's a lot of power in him and a lot of speed. But he also gives me the vibe. This guy could probably go into his late 30s and still score goals. And I think that type of thing helps you. At the right team, at the right league, maybe not in the Prem, but I can't, unless his body breaks down, he could definitely be playing in France or in
Italy. He can go to Serie A and bag 30 goals. Lukaku can do it. He can do it anytime in his career.
True. Very true. He's going to score a lot of goals. He's going to win a lot of trophies. I think we'll go into that category just below Messi and Ronaldo.
You should already have a Ballon d'Or, yes.
I'm having a look at them numbers. He's got 280 odd goals in 300 games.
If he scores in his next game, which is against Arsenal, to be fair, if he does score against Arsenal, then he will have bettered Cristiano Ronaldo's record, for goals for a new club with Real Madrid. It's insane. It's insane.
Luckily, he's playing against Arsenal, so.
By the way, I will say this: it shows how good, crazy that Ronaldo stat is, though. Because when Ronaldo did that, he was playing on the right. He wasn't a number 9 then as well. That's not taken away from Haaland. It just people forget. They think of Ronaldo now at 40 playing as like a poacher. You forget that when he went Madrid and set that record, he was playing on the right and the left-hand side. Like, it's just ridiculous what that man did. It's crazy. Arsenal have scored 2 goals at the Etihad since 2019. City are currently on a club record 45-game unbeaten home.
2-0 Arsenal, then that's what it's going to be.
Could be. How did the team beat you? Or was it the defeat Brentford?
We beat them at Etihad Stadium in the last 2 seasons.
That can't be the last defeat.
Harry Kane 3-2.
Brentford beat us after you, though.
Oh, Tony got the break.
Tony back break. I want to ask about Arsenal very quickly. How do you think they're going to get on against Atalanta on Thursday?
Atalanta are a tough team. Let's not underestimate Atalanta here. No one underestimates Atalanta.
They actually really are, though. They are a good
Sir
team.
Gasparini.
If Arsenal try and do what they did to Spurs, Atalanta will punish them. They may not, in terms of they will actually score. They may not win, but they will score. But I think Arsenal have more quality, so they'll just beat them anyway.
I think we'll beat them. And I think we'll beat them. I think we'll beat them, and I think we'll beat them comfortably as well. I generally do.
Wait, by the way, when's City's game in Champions League?
Wednesday. into
Oh,
Etihad.
interesting.
Oh, they look at them, yeah. Just to
Patrick
put it out there,
Haaland.
they're trying to help City. You see, they've got a home game on the
All
Wednesday.
the
and we've
English
got an away
clubs are
game
playing
on
Italian
the
clubs.
Thursday.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you feel you'll beat Atalanta comfortably? Because the Europa League champions, we saw what they did to Liverpool. I thought they did really well in the Super Cup against Real Madrid. They didn't take their chances, but they played well for large periods of that game. Why are you so confident? You're away as well, right? You're away from home on a Thursday night in Italy. You're home now. What makes you feel it's going to be so comfortable?
I need to rotate as well.
I just don't think they've been as good this year so far at the start of the season in the Serie A from what I've seen. And I just think that we'll have enough.
I remember looking at all that.
structured.
They haven't won in 3 before us, and then they battered us off the
Inter
park.
Milan,
Honest to God.
I think structure. I think first Champions League game. I think the boys will really get up for it. That's why I think That's why I think it'll be comfortable. I think. Do you know what it is with Arsenal? I'm not gonna lie. The reason I say comfortable is because I believe that 95% of the games we now win, we win comfortably because of our defense. And when I say comfortably, don't mean we're going to beat them 3-0. It could be 1-0 and it'll be a comfortable game because how good I think our defense is.
I think you'll get a draw. I think you'll play for it. There's too much riding on that City game. City win, they're 5 points ahead. I mean, and let's be honest, if you win your home games and you don't lose your away games, you're through to the last 16 of the Champions League.
Here's the thing, Henry. I think Declan Rice is definitely going to play that game because I think he'll want to get a few minutes before that City game after not playing on the weekend.
Yeah, surely he's not going to play full 90 though.
Well, it depends on how much we need him to.
I know.
I'm a firm believer of this thing of players. This is early in the season, man. I don't like this thing of players.
You got full 90 and then a full 90 on a Sunday. What so
Yeah.
I know obviously he's a professional athlete and all that, but he didn't have a huge break. He went all the way to the final of the Euros to do a full 90 on the Thursday, then a full 90 on the Sunday.
Depends on the game.
He probably won't need a full
90. He probably won't need a full 90 against Atlanta. He probably won't do that. We'll probably bring someone on. But I think we'll drop Partey in the game. I think that Jorginho will play with Rice in the midfield. I think I would personally play Wanyeri in the 10 in this game. I'd use this as a
little man's back.
I'd use this.
I've just got a thing. He's 5'3", and I just think it's quite funny. But,
yeah, I just think that this is a good game to try him out in that position. And I think that we'll probably Saka probably won't after coming off that little knock. He'll probably hold bench, and you can play Sterling on the right. So I think we'll rotate partially, but I still think we'll have enough. I don't think the defense gets rotated apart from well, I don't know if anyone's back from the injuries, but we can't even rotate our bench our defense, to be honest, because they're all injured.
So you said no, there's no Saka, likely no Saka, no Odegaard. Are you not wary of this Atlanta team at least? Because you see Ademola Lookman, he was scoring goals on the weekend.
Do you know what? Yeah. I know this might sound like big, but like you're talking about attacking players, bro. It's the defense is why I'm so casual about games. This might be a bit of arrogance that's grown that we shouldn't have because we ain't won anything yet. But how good our defense is, and that remember that away from home record that I've just said, 11 games, 3 goals conceded. Like it gives me this confidence now, and until I see different, I'm gonna go into games.
What about your attack then? Because that's where you would look at being the most problematic. You're missing your 2 best attacking players potentially.
But I think we can still, once again, I think we can comfortably win a game now, 1-0. And that's what I mean. I'm not
when I say new type of attack, because you're looking like you're going to be doing a Sterling, Havertz, and Trossard front line, or potentially Jesus, however you want to work it. And then you've said throw in a 17-year-old who, yeah, he looks really good. Nothing to take away from him. He looks like he could be a potential star, but he's not had no minutes. And to throw him into an away, Champions League game, first Champions League game of the season, you think
it's
he's ready?
Like playing Mikey Moore. Exactly.
And throwing him into a big Champions League away game, I don't think that it would be very smart.
I'm just speaking with PTSD from Atalanta. They're a really fucking good team that you cannot underestimate because that manager, Gasperini, he's
an
really
old
smart.
And
if they go man to man again, you've got to be switched on.
It's going to be a great game, and I'm sure we'll look at it more. We'll be previewing more of the Champions League games tomorrow on Straight Facts, 3:30. Dan Potts, LB. And myself will be live doing that. We have a few super chats here for the panel. First one is Nobbins. Are you concerned about the goals being conceded by City?
No. Ipswich one was a weird error. The Brentford one, I put down to the fact that we didn't have our best box defender on the pitch in a game where we needed our best box defenders to be on the pitch. And
who's your best box defender?
Ruben Diaz. By a fair margin as well. Yes, no, absolutely fine.
You said it's the standard Arsenal treatment when you win. This is to you, Giuseppe. When you lose or drop points, you always revert to blaming the refs. And when you don't get the job done, it's the standard Arsenal playbook.
Well, that's who's that directed at? Me personally, I don't do that.
Yeah, but it could be towards me.
You did say
we've heard you complain about refs a few times, not just today.
you said those exact words. You said standard Arsenal treatment. So yes, he's
It's definitely directed towards you. Yeah.
It's directed at me. I know, but like the standard Arsenal treatment is no matter when we win a game, there's always something about it that's not like no one ever wants to give Arsenal the credit that we deserve. Like not anyone, because the guys, everyone on the panel,
just
gives
Terry,
Arsenal quite good
just
credit.
Terry.
Just Terry.
You could talk, Henry. Jesus Christ.
Terry's the most.
Terry's
Terry's the biggest Arsenal fan on the panel right now.
Do you know what it is? I'm not. It's just I don't. You know what it is? I don't even.
Early, man.
It's not even about investing in the stocks. It's more about like I saw Simon Jordan today, right? And I do listen to a lot of TalkSport. I've heard him for however many years talk about Arsenal needs to be more resolute and grind results out. When they do it, he's tweeting out, "This is boring, though." I don't like the duplicity of the professional pundits or more than anything else. I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans angry at the way they performed yesterday. Are the same guys for a decade of moan they can't win ugly. They then win ugly and they go, well, where's the performance? That's all I really call out. It's keep the same energy majority of the time if you can. But there we go. Before the end of the show, I did want to ask this question. Staffy, Man United win 3-0. Are we back?
Listen, I was waiting for this question this whole show. You know, it took us the last 5 minutes to talk about it.
5 minutes.
Russell Martin's tricky Saints.
Yeah.
Listen, all I could say is since I chose the top red life has been amazing. I can approach games. I can shamelessly celebrate. I don't have to tactically break down anything. I don't have to complain about anything. And if anyone complains about anything, I could just call them out. So life has been very simple. So yes, United are back. 3 goals, 3 points. We're ahead of. I wish Deji was here because Deji told me in the summer that I wouldn't be allowed to speak to them because Spurs are going to be ahead of us the whole time. But they're not actually. We're ahead of them. So I'll shamelessly celebrate that. And listen, while everyone is playing Champions League football, I'm going to be watching proper English football against Barnsley tomorrow. So you guys enjoyed that. I'll be watching real football.
Do you know what's funny about that little side jab, Staffy? Because you're one of Tottenham's biggest second fans. Like when I watch the show,
To be fair, that's why I said Deji.
And I watch your tweets. You're one of our biggest fans. I'm always
I like Ange. I'm not gonna lie. I really do like Ange.
He loves a little bit of Big Ange.
I do love Ange. It's something about Australians. I fancy Australians. But I can't put a joke in there. That's fine. I'm comfortable with my sexuality. I can say that.
Why are you laughing? You fancy Australians as well, clearly. Like,
I got no problem with that. I just don't use Ange as my barometer. I don't use Ange Postecoglou as my barometer to go. That's why I fancy Australians.
No. On a real though, what's it called? No, listen, United did win the game, but I'm not gonna lie. If anyone watched that game and you weren't concerned about the first half an hour, then I'm not gonna lie, you're just lying to yourself. Because
it was almost like the proverbial 2 halves. What I would say in defense, the first 35 minutes has to be studied and looked at. What I would say is that it's the first time, I don't care who the opposition are, because last year the relegated teams dominated us home and away. We were brilliant after we scored a goal in terms of controlling the game, not conceding chances. So as critical as I would be as the first 35 minutes, and I want that analysed this week by the team and the players, I'd also then look at what we did in the remainder of the game and take the benefits from that as well. I think you need to kind of be fair on that. But yeah, I mean, it's a joke question. We aren't anywhere near back yet, but I take the 3 points, take the 3
No, the
goals,
3 points
take
are
the clean
important.
sheet.
Like the positives, listen, the positives is that we actually scored goals for once. To score 3 goals in a game, this is something we've been the pride of. It's so sick. I know it sounds very simple to some people who are on the panel. It's not really that simple for us. So to score 3 goals and to actually see the front line clicking and actually have Rashford finally on the score sheet, have who else scored? De Ligt, obviously he's not an attacker, but just to get a clean sheet, a goal after the week he had with the Netherlands, that was pretty good. Obviously Garnacho did his thing again, coming off the bench and scoring. These are all positives. But the way we played the first 30 minutes, I told you, Terry, on the match reaction, I actually fell asleep. I didn't watch the first 30 minutes. So the fact that I spent my weekend not knowing what those 30 minutes were was amazing. But today it was like, it's Monday. I got to go back and watch it now. And I watched the first 30 minutes. The way we were getting done by Southampton was scary because this team most likely will get relegated. The fact that a team that will get relegated played like that against us, they disrupted our build-up. They disrupted our midfield. We had to rely on little counterattacks here and there to actually do something. And let's be honest, if Onana doesn't save that, I'm going to be really honest with you. If we go down 1-0, we're most likely losing. Because I don't know what the stat is, but I'm pretty sure every time we go down 1-0, the odds are we lose and we don't come back under 10. So these are really worrying signs.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And I think that's why it's one of those matches where I think you can celebrate the moment, celebrate the win. I certainly did. And I always love it when Man United win, but there's a lot for us to improve on. There's no doubt. But I agree with you. Like Rashford scoring was important because the media agenda was, I saw people, it was Fabrizio of all people, 189 days since his last league goal. I mean, the fact that over 65% of that was off season.
Summer.
Right, which is ridiculous stat. And when you actually add up the minutes, it worked out just over 5 games because he came back from an injury and he was playing like bit part. So you're talking about 5 games without a Premier League goal, and it was made into this. It's almost half a year. Well, it isn't in reality, but there we go. He
looked better next to Xerxes, so life is different.
And once he scored, he looked better. But look, a long way for us to go. But we play the mighty Barnsley tomorrow night, which I'm looking forward to. So there we go. Look, viewers, I want to thank you all. I want to first of all say, panel always amazing as ever. As most of you know, we've got some things coming up on the terrace soon. Loads of new subscribers, which has just been out of this world the last couple of months. A record-breaking weekend as well, not just on the Arsenal stream, but over 7,000 people watching the Liverpool stream, 6,000 watching the Chelsea stream, 4,000 or 5,000 watching the Man United. We never get as many when Man United win because the haters all piss off. But I think in total, it was like 32,000 live concurrent viewers over the weekend. Another 5,200 tonight, which is out of this world. The numbers are crazy. Cannot thank you all enough who tune in, week out, come rain, come shine. Well, most of you at home, but you know what I mean? It's a saying. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It means a great deal. We've got lots of brilliant things planned. The new studio is almost ready, which I cannot wait to get into. I just wanted to take this time live on the Top 6 show to say thank you. I've got to check one thing, though, because it's meant to be redirecting to Hassam's channel, and I don't know if KJ's done it. I haven't done it. So this is going to redirect you, this video, but I just want to make sure it's done because I've sometimes... Oh, it is done. It is. It's going to take you through to his A-listers on Hassam's channel. So go and watch him and go and support that for us, people. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.